Martin take handoff up inside. Ball's knocked loose. Chris Hudson, he recovers. He's on his way. He attempts to lateral. Why? I don't know. Not very smart. Keyshawn Johnson recovers. Tom Coughlin, he is absolutely stunned. Jets are up 10-0. Then a ensuing drive. Keyshawn Johnson, 28-yard. They're at 10-yard, actually, around left side. Touchdown, 17-0 Jets. And then back comes Brunell down the left sideline to Jimmy Smith. Great coverage, but a great throw, 17-7. And then finally the toss to Curtis Martin out of the backfield, over 100 yards rushing. Touchdown, Jets. Win 34-24. Big day for Johnson, big day for Testaverde.
Raining confetti at the Meadowlands, reminiscent of when Bill Parcells was with the Giants and their many playoff victories. Jets' first AFC Championship appearance now since 1983. They will take on Denver. Congratulations to the New York Jets. We'll be back here with more of the Burger King pregame show after this. Defensive end, nose guard, as versatile a defensive player as there is in the league. John Randle, big motor, both in the heart and, of course, in the mouth, but he can back it up as we welcome you back to this Burger King NFL playoff special right here on Fox. Well, folks, he's number 2 in the NFL in career touchdown catches. He's number 4 on the all-time reception list, and he holds almost every Vikings receiver record in the book. His name is Cris Carter, but Howie, one accomplishment still eludes the elusive one.
Yeah, there's not a lot missing in the life of the Cris Carter I went to see this week in Minnesota. He has faith, family, and just about every individual accolade you can have as a football player. But you come to find out through this interview what drives Cris Carter.
We up like high, 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 high.
You caught your first touchdown in a galaxy far, far away from Randall Cunningham in 1987. What's different about Cris Carter on a personal level?
Well, I think the biggest difference is I'm really comfortable with who I am. I can truly say that no man can take credit for where I am spiritually or where I am as far as a professional athlete, that only God can take credit for that.
Well, who takes credit for calming you down on the sideline? Apparently...
Nobody.
They say that I'm a type A person.
Yes.
But people say you're a type AAA person.
When you get on your knees and say your prayers tonight, pray.
Say them every day, baby.
Pray you can play as long as me.
You're still the performance police, you know, and that's a role that is not always relished by a player, but it's a role that somebody has to step up and take.
My ability to be focused on Sunday and the energy that I bring to the team is a gift. But if I can't help people, if I can't help people play better, if I can't help people make plays to help the team win, then what good is it?
The film, Randall, what did we watch on film? Outs, threes, giants.
The whispers in the NFL is that Cris Carter coaches Randy Moss.
Big fella, hey, way not to push him off, too. Huh? Way not to push him off. Yeah. Because that guy is right back there.
How much input do you have into Randy's on-the-field performance?
I think I have as much input as he wants me to. I'm not always talking to him about football. You know, there might be a play in the game, he might make a play, and something might happen, and I might think it's a great time for me to point out something about life.
Does he raise your bar? Does he continue to challenge you to be Cris Carter?
I don't necessarily think he challenges me. I think that, I mean, he's such a strange athlete. And strange being a good word.
That's a good way to describe him. He's kind of Len Swan with Bob Hayes' speed.
It's amazing what he can do.
When we play the big dogs, are we going to have everything tight?
Brian Billick said something interesting. When we're in trouble, I have a section in my playbook that's simply entitled Carter.
To me, that's the best compliment I've ever had in my whole career. And it speaks volumes for how he believes in my ability, and also for my understanding of the system.
Here is Cris Carter downfield, makes the catch and gets the touchdown.
You've run out of personal goals.
Yes, I have.
There's nothing left for you. There's no hills left for you to climb.
The only personal goal I have is the Super Bowl.
The ring.
That's it. I remember when Jerry Rice played the game earlier in the year, and I think he caught 4 balls for 38 yards. And they had a report that he was complaining about getting the football. And that same game, we played Green Bay at home, and we beat Green Bay. And I caught 4 balls for 37 yards. But I never said anything. And to me, it spoke volumes of how much that I have grown and how much I want to be in a position like Michael Irvin and Jerry have been in, to be in the Super Bowl and be in the NFC Championship games.
You know, the ironic thing about Chris Carter is it's a very difficult role to take, but when you give so much, you expect so much. And believe me, if you're not making plays and you're not contributing to this football team, making the ultimate commitment, Chris Carter will let you know about it. You just saw it, a little bit of that in the footage. It's hard to find a flaw in this offense with the Minnesota Vikings. Talking to them, they want to get their wide running game on track, and particularly behind Corey Stringer at Wadsworth. That's a big key. They feel they can pick up just about anything that Arizona comes with. This offensive line is ready to roll.
And this Vikings defense is the absolute best in football at not giving up the big plays. That means Jake Plummer today has to be very patient. Dump that thing off to Larry Centers. Dump the thing off to Eric Metcalf. That's the way they have to try and stay in this football game early. If he does that, I think they can keep it within 3 touchdowns.
You know, I feel like I'm playing the devil's advocate here. I feel like I'm the only one that thinks Arizona has any chance at all. But once again, if you go back and just notice that Simeon Rice wore out Stussy the last time they played, and Neas Williams wore out Chris Carter the last time they played. Unfortunately, there was no Moss, there was no Cunningham. But there's one little weapon I know the Vikings have to use today, and his name is David Palmer, a little guy that catches punts, returns kickoffs. He was a quarterback at Alabama. He was a quarterback in high school. And, folks, when you're watching this game and this game gets close, that's when the tricks come out. Don't forget, Palmer in the backfield. He could take the ball. He can chunk it down the football field.
I didn't hear Howie or Chris say that Arizona didn't have a shot. But let me ask you, are you saying Arizona will win this game today?
No, I'm not saying they will win. I'm not ever going to ever say.
I think it'll be
I'm not ever going to say that.
I think it'll be close.
I just want to make sure that people understand this game could be a lot closer than everybody.
And the opening kickoff,
sounds like he's sucking up big time to somebody. Kickoff is just moments away. And after being away for 5 games because of an injured back, Jake Reed is back. So now with Carter, Moss, and Reed, Vikings have weapons 1, 2, and 3. Bradshaw back with a statement after this. For this game against the Minnesota Vikings, a team that Terry Bradshaw thinks has a good shot at upsetting the Vikings. Let's start first with Chris.
There's a bold statement right there. A good shot.
You know what? What's wrong with someone thinking that Arizona can't beat these guys? I mean, I'm not saying, but we act like these guys aren't going to play today?
Chris, don't let him steal your time. Go.
You know, this weekend, all 3 teams so far that had the home field advantage and the bye week have jumped off to early starts and ended up winning the football game. Arizona has to survive this first quarter. Watch for that early in the ball game.
This offensive line from the Arizona Cardinals will have their hands full with crowd noise. And Jake the Snake Plummer, the first time he sees that John Randall over there barking at him, he's going to have to keep his composure. Chavez, the cornerback, going to have to play the game of his life at 10 yards off the line of scrimmage.
Andy Reid, offensive coordinator for Brett Favre, has just signed with the Philadelphia Eagles as their new head coach.
All right, the other part of the Jack Nicholson line that Terry wanted us to deliver for him is we need him on this pregame show. All right, folks.
Need somebody.
Already coming up next, Minnesota Vikings hosting the Arizona Cardinals. It will be an outstanding game. I guarantee you the winner will be the one with the most points at the end. All right.
You know what?
Right.
Catch a full day of Super Bowl pregame action beginning at 11 Eastern on Fox.
21 days and counting to Super Bowl 33. Today's story is a sequel as David tries to once again slay another giant. For the Minnesota Vikings, nothing short of a Super Bowl would equal success. They set the stage prior to the season by drafting Randy Moss, who has turned an already potent offense into a lethal one, while the wild cards have risen from the flames like a phoenix and pinned their hopes on a plumber named Snake and a young defense with a fatal bite. The Metrodome in downtown Minneapolis, and the weather kind of lethal. Temperature 2 degrees with the wind chill. It's 38 degrees below zero. That doesn't matter because we're in the dome where the temperature is perfect for the Vikings to host the Arizona Cardinals. Pat Summerall here with John Madden. You think about these Vikings, John, and they have so many offensive weapons. How do they utilize everybody they have?
Well, you know, you just want to call it a super year for the Vikings. They still have a couple of more games to get there, but from the beginning of the season through the middle to the end, it looks like it's their year. And You talk to them, and offensively, as you say, they have so many weapons. Brian Billick is their offensive coordinator, and he just wants to use them. I mean, he believes in distribution, that you don't become one-dimensional. You just don't run the ball. You just don't throw it to one guy, that you spread it around. On defense, I think the thing that they have to do is contain Jake Plummer, because Jake Plummer can scare him. And if he gets outside the containment, then he buys time, and that puts a lot of pressure on the defensive secondary. And to me, if the Vikings are vulnerable anywhere, it's in their secondary.
Not vulnerable too many places, though. Realistically, do you think the Arizona Cardinals have much of a chance?
No, I don't think they have much of a chance, but I think they would have a chance in it if they played a perfect game, didn't give any turnovers, but if they went out and got some turnovers, you know, they would have that chance to win the game. Jake Plummer has to do it. I mean, he has to do it with his feet. He has to do it with his arm. On defense, they're going to do a lot of interesting things, I think, to the Vikings. I think they're going to play them a lot of nickel defense, a lot of 5 defensive backs. And one of the great matchups is going to be Aeneas Williams, a Cardinal corner, who is a heck of a corner. He's going to play man-to-man on Randy Moss all day. That's going to be fun to watch.
Coming up, it's the Cardinals and the Vikings from the Metrodome. And John and I'll be back for the opening kickoff when Fox NFL Divisional game continues.
Ball till we fall. 1, 2, 3. Ball till we fall. Let's go, baby. Are you with me? Yeah. Are you with me? Yeah. Are you with me? Yeah. Break it down to me.
Following presentation of the National Football League.
At the Metrodome in Minneapolis. About set to start to see who the 4th team's going to be. They're going to play Atlanta, the winner of this game. Congratulations to Bill Parcells, New York Jets. They'll play Denver next week. The winner of this one will play Dan Reeves, Atlanta Falcons.
And congratulations to Dan Reeves and the Atlanta Falcons. We talk about the Vikings having a super year and a great year and a Cinderella team. Atlanta Falcons were the same thing, and what a job Dan Reeves and his coaching staff and his players have done.
Well, Dan Reeves, you can't say enough good things about him. It's good to see good things happen to good people, and Dan Reeves is good people. Chris Jackie will kick it off. He's been the hero in Arizona for the last few weeks. They've won 7 games in the closing seconds to get here. David Palmer will start handling the ball for Minnesota. Palmer to the 20 and down at about the 19. Let's look at the Minnesota offenses. Tempers are on edge, I think you'd have to say. The offense led by Randall Cunningham. This is the 2nd Randall Cunningham. His offensive line, they've been together 5 years. They're very effective. Led by Randall McDaniel and Todd Stussy on the left side. Jeff Christie also a key. Robert Smith, Charles Evans, Randy Moss, Chris Carter, and Andrew Glover will handle the ball for the Minnesota offensive coordinator Brian Billick. Of course, his name has been mentioned prominently in all the coaching changes from this year. He'll be a head coach somewhere. Cardinals blitz. They almost get to Cunningham. He dumped it. They have said they're going to blitz just about every play.
Yeah, they're going to go after Randall Cunningham.
That's their defensive line. They'll start with a 4-man front, but they'll make changes, and many changes in that. The 3 linebackers, Patrick Sapp starting, McKinnon and Jameer Miller, who had a big week last week against Dallas. Chavis and Williams, the corners. And Dave McGinnis. He too mentioned when people start searching for head coaches. Flags fly.
You see Simeon Rice, he was out there and he was jumping all around because he knows it's against Todd Stussy, the left tackle.
False start. Number 73 offense. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Not necessarily a good start for Minnesota.
Well, it was an interesting thing that the Cardinals use a lot of 5 defensive linemen, and they did it a lot last week against the Dallas Cowboys. And on that last play, that was a 5 defensive linemen. In fact, you see it here. Well, now they're in 4 defensive linemen.
Second and 15. Carter comes in motion. Cunningham pass caught by Chris Carter. He was covered pretty well.
You know, Chris Carter is one of those guys that, you know, is a big, strong, physical receiver. And he gives Randall Cunningham so much confidence that you know that once you have this guy here and you just throw the ball in there, that he is going to go and fight and usually end up with it. And that's exactly what he did. He just found the hole in his zone, and Randall Cunningham threw it perfectly.
David Palmer comes into the Minnesota backfield. On third down, here come the flags again as the Cardinal jump, free play. Pass complete to Palmer. And they're going to take the play instead of the flag, except the play never got started, did it?
Yes, it did get started because it would be the defense that jumped. Now, if the defense jumps, it's a free offensive play. If the offense moves, then they blow the whistle. So that, as you said, was a free play.
Number 74.
You're exactly right.
And Randall Cunningham knew that, and he just stood in there. And he had David Palmer. You see David Palmer coming out of the backfield. Randall Cunningham stood patiently and threw the ball.
Here's the Minnesota version of no huddle. They're up and quickly ready to go. And the Cardinals again come on the blitz, and Robert Smith gets the carry. Patrick Sapp got there almost the same time the ball did.
You know, this is the same thing that they did against the Dallas Cowboys. Is what they want to do is get the pressure right in here, right now. If we just start, you see, you want to step up. See how they step up? Then they want to hit the gap. You see right here, you don't want to give it away yet, but you want to get up there and hit the gap after they have counted you as being back off. And that's exactly what Sapp did. He timed it perfectly.
Second and 14. Single setback is Smith. Cunningham drops, has time. Pass caught. Chris Carter again struggles for a first down.
I think that was one of the things that the Vikings have. As I said earlier, they're going to move the ball around, and they know that the Arizona Cardinals are going to take away Randy Moss. They're putting Aeneas Williams out there. They were playing him with a lot of nickel. So if you're going to concentrate on Randy Moss, what better guy to go to than Chris Carter?
There's Aeneas Williams out with Randy Moss. And here's Robert Smith. And he can turn a shortly designed play into a first down, and he does.
You know, and that's exactly what we're talking about. You know, you talk about the weapons, and here they go, and they're running, and, you know, I mean, they're throwing out there to Chris Carter. They're throwing the ball to Palmer, and then they say, well, it's about time we get a run in here, and they just hand it to Robert Smith. And watch, not only the running and the vision he has, but the run blocking. This offensive line, the Minnesota Vikings, is the best offensive line right now in pro football.
Leroy Horde is down the deep back.
He's in there as a load runner and a blocker.
And he is a load. Horde struggles for about 4. Andre Wadsworth.
Yeah, he said about a month ago, he said, I'm the type of back, if you need a yard, I'll get you 3 yards. If you need 5 yards, I'll get you 3 yards. But he's even more than that. I mean, every time you say that, he can also break one through and get that 20 or 30-yard gain. And once he breaks through into the secondary, there's not a lot of anxious defensive backs to tackle him. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. And if I were a defensive back, I think I'd agree. Here's Robert Smith again. Puts his head down and gets about 3. This is a fine offensive line, and I think one of the keys, John, we've talked about it often, is that they've been together as a unit for about 5 years.
Yeah, and that's where it all starts. I mean, if you don't have that, if you don't have this group right here, then you can have all the Randy Mosses and Chris Carters and Robert Smiths and all those guys you want, but it's very academic, because the first thing that happens is these guys have to block.
3rd and 1.
Look who the quarterback is.
David Palmer. Could be a direct snap to him. He can throw it as well as run with it. He got the first down.
See, See, what they did is they came in and they switched. They put Randall Cunningham, the quarterback, out as a split left end. And then they put Palmer as a quarterback, and he just got in a shotgun. Here's Randall Cunningham. He's out here, and here's Palmer right here. You see, and they just snap it. They just snap it to Palmer. Now he starts out, and this is going to be a run here. But I watched him in practice the other day, and they also have a pass off of that with Palmer throwing the ball.
Shades of the old single wing or the A formation.
Yep, you got to watch these Minnesota Vikings, I'll tell you.
Smith hit right at the line of scrimmage by Ronald McKinnon.
You know, and you know, the thing is, we talk about these Vikings and all the weapons they have, and it all starts with that offensive line. But Brian Billick does a great job of calling this game, too, because
really does.
You can have weapons, but if you don't use them and mix them up and become one-dimensional, you're easy to defend. The way Brian Billick is mixing these things up in this first drive is darn near really impossible to defend.
Smith is the deep back. Cunningham rolls and gets it out to Smith. Inside the 5 to the 3. Lassiter.
But as Randall, you know, this is something Randall Cunningham is really starting out this game calm. You know, a lot of times quarterbacks start out and they're a little anxious early in the game. This is a bootleg. He fakes to the left, comes out here to the right, and just that easy touch pass out there to Robert Smith. You know, Randall Cunningham, the way he's playing now, he can throw every type of pass.
With feel, with touch, when you have to throw it up and let somebody run in, he can do it.
Yeah, but he's so calm. I mean, it looks like everyone is going hyper around him, and he's just staying calm in there.
Horde. About the half-yard line.
That's the 3 yards he got. You need a yard, I'll get you 3. I would say that they leave Leroy Horde in there again. And, you know, Robert Smith is more of a slasher, and he'll get you the big plays. Leroy Horde is your pound guy that runs inside and gets you that short yardage. And he's usually the guy, if they run, that gets the ball, or if they don't run, they fake it to him.
9-year veteran of Michigan. 2 tight ends set up this time. Carter stays in. Horde goes into the end zone. Touchdown, Minnesota. Well, they make it look so simple and get it done with such ease.
And if you're a defensive coordinator, where do you start to stop them?
I mean,
this drive was surgery. The Minnesota Vikings did surgery on the Arizona Cardinal defense, and they did it every way you can with darn near every weapon they have, and they haven't even used Randy Moss yet.
That's so true. They have a trainload of weapons. 7-0 Minnesota. They took 7 minutes plus.
Playoff is brought to you by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl.
Minnesota 7, Arizona nothing. And the dome, as we expected, exploded when Leroy Horde took it into the end zone.
These people love these Vikings. I mean, look at this crowd. They're giving them a standing ovation now. They're all waving the white towels. Now we're talking.
Line drive kick. Handled by Eric Metcalf. Metcalf up to about the 27, and the Cardinal offensive unit will come on for the first time. 7-0. Vikings over the Cardinals. That's the Arizona defensive line in a state of shock, I suppose, right at the moment. Joe Green, the great Joe Green, talking to him.
Yeah, because they tried everything on defense and nothing even slowed up that Viking offense.
Plummer gives to Adrian Morrell, who can't find any place to go. Let's look at the Cardinal offense. Led by Jake the Snake. He has really come on. Jake Plummer. The offensive line in front of him, Brown, Dishman, Graham, Holmes, and Dexter. And Adrian Morrell deep. Larry centers the veteran. They go with the hurry huddle. The at the line and almost picked off. Almost picked off by Corey Fuller. Here's the Minnesota defense. They are very quick. Randall, particularly the front four. And so are the linebackers, Rudd, McDaniel, and Dixon Edwards. Cardinals again go at the line. That's the secondary. And they're ready to go in a hurry. 3rd and long. Plummer backs out. And now comes back, and here comes the flag. The noise is, no question about it, a factor.
In fact, they were talking before the game that was the thing that they worried about, was hearing the snap count specifically on shotgun.
Tom White is the referee.
And you see what Jake Plummer tried to do. He tried to get into T formation, then he tried to get into shotgun. Then he couldn't hear, so he tried to get back up under center. And in doing all those things, time ran out on him.
3rd and 16, and you need to be very careful right here. Don't take too many gambles, Jake. They'll put this game out of reach in a hurry. High, intended for Frank Sanders. We'll check out. We have Ron Pitts with us, and he's down on the field. Let's check out with Ron Pitts how loud it is.
Pat, it is extremely loud down here, and I'm about the 20-yard line, right even with the Cardinals. And I tell you, there's no way that Jake Plummer's offense could hear him make that call. That's one reason he tried to get back under the center. It is just deafening. Back up to you, Pat.
All right, thank you, Ron. You look very dapper. A punt to David Palmer. Scott Player. Palmer handles. Jumps around. He can do some things with the ball when he gets it.
Including playing quarterback.
Yeah. 7-0. Minnesota's second offensive effort coming up. 6:46 left in the first.
ABC doesn't have it. Now Fox has the Super Bowl.
Well, got a new guy doing promos, Randy Moss.
More things you can do, and I'll tell you what an exciting game that's going to be. I mean, you see in the AFC, we know it's going to be either Denver or the New York Jets, and the NFC, we still got Atlanta, and it's going to be one of these two teams.
Robert Smith stopped by Lassiter. Lassiter making too many tackles.
Yeah, and that's the thing that you don't like when you're free safety, and that's who you're talking about here. Lassiter, the free safety making tackles, that means that before Lassiter gets here, you've gone by the defensive line and linebackers, and that's the last thing that you want is your free safety to be making a lot of tackles.
Palmer again at quarterback. And here he goes to the left. He's got the first down at tailback, I guess you'd have to say that is.
Well, it's the old single wing tailback. Yeah, but the big thing is Randall Cunningham splits out at left end. He got a little block out there. Yeah. They ran to the side. Watch, here's Randall Cunningham out there. Now he comes up there. He knows that the run is to his side, so he comes up and gets in a little blocking deal.
Yeah, he does.
Against Corey Chavis.
Yeah.
Corey Chavis is the starting rookie corner and wonder what in the heck is this? I'm covering a guy, and out comes a quarterback in front of me.
He had a scouting report, a thorough scouting report on all the wide receivers, but none on Randall Cunningham. Here's Cunningham dropping, looking, and taken off. To the 40. Jameer Miller made the stop.
You know, if we look at the Minnesota Vikings on the first 15 plays, look at that. They had 10 runs, 5 passes, and they had a different formation on every play, 15 different formations. And talking about different formations, the Arizona Cardinals had a nickel defense on that last play on first down. So they're trying to change things up to try to get something to slow up this Viking offense.
2 tight ends set up, 2 wide receivers, 1 back. Cunningham drops. Gets it out to Smith. Gets a couple.
Yeah, this is the difference, I think, between regular season and playoff with Robert Smith. Remember during the regular season we were talking to him and he says, you know, everyone talks about all my injuries and I've had all these injuries, and he said I've narrowed them down that they're all on the sidelines and it's fighting to stay in bounds. All my injuries have been out there, so now when I get close to the sidelines, I manage that and just go out of bounds. Now on that one, he put his head down. Yep. He didn't go out of bounds, but he said every injury has been on that type of play that just happened there. But these are playoffs. These are sudden death.
That's Palmer in motion, and this is Cunningham out to David Palmer, and he gets a first down for Minnesota.
You know, every time we see David Palmer play, he makes a couple of big plays in the game, either in the kicking game or a play like this. Here he is in motion. You see, he started in the backfield. He goes all the way out there. Now he's going to get on a corner. And you think, well, you're not going to throw him that ball. But, of course, the corner is Corey Chavis. He drops off and leaves Palmer wide open. Poor Corey Chavis, he's out there, you know, he's looking to play a wide receiver all day, and then the last 2 plays, he's had a running back and a quarterback.
Now he's got Robert Smith. That's Charles Evans carrying the ball, the fullback, and you won't hear much of that. Evans doesn't carry it much. The thing about David Palmer, he can do anything. He returns kicks, of course. Be a quarterback, as you said. And once they figure out how to get the ball to him, and they do a good job of that, he can do a lot of things with it. As you said, he can throw it.
And I think every game that we've ever done, every Minnesota Viking, he's come up with at least one real big play.
Yep.
That's Todd Stussy again.
Well, you hate to heap so much praise on one guy, David Palmer. No, you don't really hate to, do you?
No, you like to. Sometimes it's good to heap praise.
Remember the Dallas game, Thanksgiving game. It's Thanksgiving Day. He had 2 long returns called back.
Yeah, you know what the opposite of heaping praise is?
What?
Piling on. You know, and you don't really need
piling on
one.
praise?
No, just piling on.
Yeah.
You know, like if something's open, you know, I mean, you got an open pile where someone is vulnerable. For example, the officials this year. They've been very vulnerable. So it's very easy to pile on.
Yes.
The opposite of piling on is heaping praise.
The officials, you're right, haven't gotten a lot of heaping praise this year.
A lot of piling on.
Cunningham hits Chris Carter. And Carter stretches to try to get the first. Again, stopped by Lassiter.
And again, Aeneas Williams is out there, and he's on. All the coverage is going towards Randy Moss. That's Todd Stussy there after he's been offsides a couple times. That's a way you get a offensive lineman's concentration back. You do that. You just punch him in the mouth. That's what Jeff Christie, his own guy, said, hey, man, you know, it's 1 quarter. We're playing pretty good football here. You've had 2 penalties. So he goes, whap.
Palmer again at quarterback or tailback. As we said,
here's the pass.
Oh, brought it back down. Got close to the sideline and got rid of it.
Yeah, I saw that in practice. That's the one that he ran in practice. And in practice, it worked a lot better because he threw it for a touchdown pass, and that was the play that they were trying to set up. I mean, Palmer there, he's a quarterback, and he's going to come in there, and he ran to the right and he ran to the left. Here he is here. He's going to come out to the right. Now you see the 2 receivers here, and you'll see what he's looking at. Here's Randy Moss. He's running an option, and he's kind of covered down here. But the guy that he was looking for was a deep guy back here. That's the guy that he threw it to in practice.
They can line up quickly again. This is Smith to the 10 almost. Just a little bit shy of a first. Speaking of being at practice, Friday we were there. Wasn't that a good practice?
You know, everything that they do is up-tempo, and their defense is up-tempo, their offense is up-tempo, their scout team is up-tempo, and that's an amazing thing. The head coach, Denny Green, I've never seen this before, but he's done it ever since he's been at Stanford. He runs the scout team. So if they're practicing defense, he runs the offense. If they're practicing offense, he runs the defense. And boy, do they give a good look.
They really do. Cunningham, first down. First and goal at about the 8.
That had to be an automatic there, the type of thing. Randall Cunningham gets up, and he's looking for a soft spot or a bubble, they call it. And if he sees a bubble at the line of scrimmage, he is going to go in a quarterback sneak. You see, there's no one right in here. You see, and he sees that if he just takes the ball and just gets right in behind his center, there's no way, because the center wasn't covered, there's no way that they could stop him short of the first down.
They're going to change ends. That's the end of the first quarter, and the Vikings have had the ball for all but 3 plays. 7-0, they lead.
Playoff is brought to you by Ford F-Series. The best-selling trucks are built Ford tough. By Microsoft, where do you want to go today? By Bud Light, for the great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down. Make it a Bud Light. And by Hertz. Nobody does it exactly like Hertz.
That's a beautiful mansion. Looks familiar.
Yeah, it was great. We had dinner there the other night with the new governor of the state of Minnesota, Governor Jesse Ventura, and Jesse and his wife Terry invited us to dinner. It was great, wasn't it? We had elk, man.
We had a great meal, great visit. Cunningham has the pass picked off in the end zone by Enos Williams. Out to the 10. Got some room now. Knocked out of bounds by Leroy Horde.
Yeah, we were talking about that Randall Cunningham hadn't thrown the ball to Randy Moss yet. And again, Aeneas Williams is man-to-man on him. Here's Randy Moss here. Here's Aeneas Williams. He's going to try and throw the slant. You see Aeneas Williams starts up, then he backs off, and then the slant, he jumps the slant. Yep. He undercuts it. He knows that it's a slant because he can't go any deeper. He's in the end zone. So the minute that he sees this thing, you see, he just jumps underneath it and comes up with a great interception. They've stayed away from Aeneas Williams. They finally went to him, and look what happened.
The Cardinals have the ball. They ran only 3 plays in the first quarter, had the ball only 54 seconds. Plummer, incomplete, no flag. And here comes one. There is a flag.
Well, until right now, their total yards has been -1. I think Randall Cunningham, when you saw him talking to Randy Moss here, he was talking, you know.
Number 27, defense, that'd be a first down, spotted a foul.
Corey Fuller.
Every wide receiver is always open. I think he was probably saying that he was open. Here's Corey Fuller here, and you can see that looks like good defense to me. I mean, I know that the rule is that you can't touch the guy when the ball is in the air, but Corey Fuller looked pretty good on that play.
The Cardinals again start from the hurry-up huddle, and they almost don't get the play call before the clock ran out. There's a flag on the play.
You see who got that penetration is Jerry Ball. Boy, is he a first down defensive player.
And is he quick to be so big? So quick he was offside.
You know, he lines up. He takes all the ball that he can, all of the football that he can.
Ball takes all the ball.
Number 96, defense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
And Jerry Ball doesn't do a lot of stupid things, and he's saying that the ball moves. And here's Jerry Ball right here. And he's saying that the ball moves. It was the center's head. The ball didn't move.
Ball did not move.
No, he was wrong on that. It was the center's head that moved.
Plummer. He led Robert Griffith perfectly. And Griffith of the Vikings brings it back up to about the 45.
Robert Griffith is the strong safety who also plays corner on nickel. That time he was trying to throw the ball deep to Frank Sanders. I think Jake Plummer held the ball too long. Robert Griffith is another guy, a defensive player for this Viking team, that every time we see him comes up with big plays.
Every time.
Jake Plummer again, he's bootlegging to this side. See, he was going to throw to the right. Then he comes across his body to a secondary receiver. Robert Griffith was right there. Makes the interception is when the tight end blocks, he's free. So he just drops right back here. Frank Sanders ran a crossing pattern, and Griffith comes up with the interception. See, the tight end blocks, so Griffith just keeps getting depth, and Frank Sanders really ran the pattern right into him.
3 wide receivers set up for Randall Cunningham. Robert Smith deep. Cardinals showing blitz. The Vikings pick it up, and he's going deep. Moss makes the catch. Inside the 20, the remarkable rookie, Randy Moss.
Yeah, he was telling us the other day that he says, if I'm even with the guy or in front of him, chunk it out as deep as you can. If the guy is in front of me, then just throw it short. And you see Aeneas Williams was in front of him, so he threw the ball short, and Randy Moss came back and get it. You see, if the guy is on that side of you now, that's the new thing that they added.
Yep.
Beginning of the season, it was just let me run and you just chunk it deep, dog. And now it's you just, I'll run and you chunk it deep, dog. Unless the guy is in front of me, then you throw it short and I'll out jump him. And that's exactly what he did.
Actually, it's pretty good coverage by Aeneas Williams.
Well, it was real good coverage, but again, Randy Moss and Randall Cunningham, that's an added thing that they've had in the last 3 weeks.
Minnesota timeout.
All Madden, baby. Now you're talking, baby. You're talking, baby. You're talking.
And that's John Randall talking. Sunday, January 24th, it's the blockbuster 16th annual All-Madden team. We've seen some great players this season. We've picked this All-Madden team. It's a football Madden style. So don't miss the blockbuster 16th annual All-Madden team at 3 Eastern, 4 Pacific on Fox.
You know, and you can bet that there's going to be a lot of players off this Viking team on that team, including the guy that was said, now you're talking.
John Randall.
Yeah.
You don't pick an All-Madden coach, do you?
I have, you know, I mean, we've had everything, you know, from time to time. We've had, you know, we've had coaches, we've had kickers, no kickers, we've had animals, we've had kids, we've had guys that climb ceilings. And
I remember one year I was a kicker emeritus, the next year I didn't make it.
Well, the All-Madden teams knows no boundaries.
Smith nudges it down to about the 15, picked up a couple.
Yeah, but that was, you know, that catch again by Randy Moss was the one that he was telling us about, that, you know, that he could get even with anyone and he could get by anyone unless the guy just ran deep. So he had to add the third thing. If the guy just runs deep and doesn't let me get by him or even with him so I can get by him, then just throw it short and I'll jump up and get it. And that's exactly what that play was.
And that's what he does. Cunningham. Incomplete. Had a chance to be picked off by Jameer Miller.
Yeah, but what time he had. I mean, Randall Cunningham looked to his left. I mean, you talk about read and progression. Watch his time. He's looking to his left, pumps to his left, comes back to the middle, pumps to his middle, looks to his right, and finally throws to his right. If you have that kind of time, you either have outstanding pass protection, or you have a very, very poor pass rush.
And if Jameer Miller didn't stick up his hand, Robert Smith was open. That would have been complete.
Look at Simeon Rice down here. He's going against Todd Stussy. He hasn't gotten close yet.
Stance looks good. Touchdown. Andrew Glover, the tight end. And we haven't mentioned him yet.
We haven't gotten to him.
Cunningham to Glover.
That's what Randall Cunningham was saying the other day. I mean, here's Glover right here, and they split them out. You see they have a bunch out there. They have 3 receivers. 2 of them being wide receivers, the guy in the middle being the tight end, Andrew Glover.
And just look at the difference in size. The guy who caught the touchdown pass is 6'6".
And look at the pass.
Yeah. Perfect.
By Volkswagen. On the road of life, there are passengers and there are drivers. By IBM. Are you ready for e-business? By Visa, the preferred card of the NFL and Super Bowl 33. It's everywhere you want to be. And by Burger King, where you can have the delicious king of fries. Burger King. When you have it your way, it just tastes better.
Minnesota 14, Arizona nothing. Second quarter.
Which this ball usually from Mitch Berger usually goes in the end zone or through the end zone.
This one can be returned by Metcalf. But maybe it was a mistake. Chris Walsh down to make the stop at about the 15. Arizona -1 yard and the Vikings rocking and rolling 14-0. Tonight, Homer Simpson gets hitched in Vegas on an all-new Simpson. Then from the mind and mouth of Eddie Murphy comes the groundbreaking new series, Catch the World premiere of the PJs, followed by an all-new X-Files. It all starts at 8, 7 Central on Fox. Tonight, 1st and 10, Arizona at their own 16. Jake Plummer, pump fake. Intercepted. Robert Griffith again. His second interception. They won't even have to move the sticks because the Vikings will have it inside the 20. First down.
You know, Robert Griffith, we were talking to him the other day, and he said that he lost 8 pounds to play this game because this game is more about coverage for him than it is playing against the run. And I'll tell you, those 8 pounds that he dropped, he's playing today at 192, has really helped him. Here you just see he's just free. And he's just sitting back there and he's reading Jake Plummer. That was not about a great interception. That was about a poor or high pass.
A high pass by that man, Jake Plummer. 1st and 10, Minnesota at the Cardinals 16.
And this Viking defense has really rattled Jake Plummer. You can just tell that. I mean, he has no rhythm. He has no confidence. He has nothing yet.
The combination of everything has rattled him. That's Robert Smith inside the 10. It'll be 1st and goal there.
You know, it's a very intimidating factor. I mean, this offense and what they're doing, the defense and what they're doing. And then the third thing, I think, is this crowd and what they're doing. I think that they've really been affected by the crowd.
No question about it.
And they've been affected a heck of a lot by this Viking offense, too.
Yeah.
That last touchdown to Andrew Glover, they had McCleskey was on him, and Glover is 6'6", and J.J. McCleskey is 5'8", and they've been having those kind of mismatches all day.
Second down, I beg your pardon, it's not first. Cunningham has it batted down. If he tried to go wide to Chris Carter, it was batted down by Andre Wadsworth.
Yeah, that's the thing that you do as a defensive end on a 3-step drop. You see Wadsworth right here. If a quarterback takes a 3-step drop, what you want to do is get a little pass rush and then get your hands up because you're not going to get to him. Now watch Andre Wadsworth out there. You see he just starts up the field. He's not going to get to Cunningham, so the next best thing is jump up and take a lane away from him.
Third down. They are 5 for 5 on third down conversions. They Carter in motion. Cunningham drops. Rush comes and gets him. Ronald McKinnon delayed blitz, but he got there. Nobody picked him up.
And I think that was a Cardinal plan, that they were going to do a lot of blitzing today, but the Viking offense has just kept them off balance. See McKinnon, he's just coming on the delayed blitz. You see, he waits until all the blockers get on their guy. And then when all the blockers get on their guy, he comes on that delayed blitz. How about this guy, Gary Anderson?
I can't imagine
That's amazing, isn't it?
I can't imagine that.
Well, one of the things is, of course, playing indoors, but not all of his games were indoors.
The amazing thing to me is all of his kicks are right down the middle. I mean, you never think about one hitting a goal post or going over a goal post. 17-0. Boys for a day, because Jerry Jones has given up the team. It's easy to enter. Just log on to foxsports.com and then watch Fox's Super Bowl pregame show from 11 a.m. Eastern to 2 p.m. Eastern for your chance to fly to Dallas, watch a game from the owner's box, tour the field, meet the Cowboy cheerleaders. So log on now and watch for your chance to win. Might enter.
Yep, Mitch Berger got that kick in the end zone again.
Let's go to now Los Angeles and James Brown for an update.
You know, the Jets' Keyshawn Johnson says, give me the ball. He got the ball today, including this 21-yard strike from Vinny Testaverde. He also ran one in, played defense, and got a pick and a fumble recovery. Net result, Jets will be playing Denver next week in the title game. Back to John Madden and the kicker emeritus, Pat Summerall.
Thank you, JB.
It's always nice to hear from JB during a shootout.
Emeritus. Morrell. Adrian Morrell stays on his feet. By far the most successful Cardinal play of the day. He's stopped by Dixon Edwards.
Yeah, he went right by Tony Williams. Tony Williams is the other defensive tackle in there with Jerry Ball, and if there's any place to run, you can run right at him, but you better get by that front group quickly. And this is that no huddle that the Cardinals do.
Morrell again, no gain. Stopped by Ed McDaniel. He's had a great year.
Yeah, you see, we can see this at the line. And in fact, the Cardinals started to do that. Then they decided to go in a huddle. Jake Plummer has two signals. He can either signal to huddle up and they come back, or he can signal at the line. The first one was at the line. This one was a huddle.
Ron Pitts said they had decided to go on a quick count to try to take the crowd out of the game. Plummer outside Larry Senators. Senators outside the 40. About the 41.
And Jake Plummer has to get something started, and that's it. I mean, that's the first pass that he completed. And you know, any quarterback, you know, I mean, it's easy to say a young quarterback has to do that to get confident. I think any quarterback has to get that first completion. You'll get something to build on, and when you're in the second quarter and you still hadn't had your first completion, you start to get a little frustrated. And I think that happened to Jake Plummer, or is happening to Jake Plummer.
They need 3 for a first. Jake goes on the fade pattern to Rob Moore, and he'll get the first.
Yeah, see, anytime you see a press coverage, that can be an automatic. Now, here's a press coverage right here. And you see he gets right by Hitchcock. That's a heck of a move by Rob Moore.
Yeah.
Not making the catch, but that move, that swim move, in fact, that's a defensive line move to get away from the press corner, because you know that you're going to get that quick up.
And they hurry up again. Morrell gets away from one tackler, gets the ball ahead, stopped by Tony Williams, but gets 3 or 4.
Now we can see the at-the-line huddle right here. You see all the guys come in. Jake Plummer tells them all what to do. Now they go out to their assigned position. We give them the formation and the play.
Ready to go with more than 20 seconds left on the play clock. Morrell. Loss. Flag on the play.
Yeah, that's the good news of that fast-paced offense, is that you can get up and you can get a lot of plays off, but if you don't get first downs, then it works against you, because what it does is it brings your defense right back on the field.
And they don't get much time to rest. Offsides against Minnesota. Derek Alexander. Mark Trestman was saying last night, and other members of the Cardinal staff were saying, Foge Fazio handles the defense for Minnesota.
Yeah, you see what Foge is doing there is he has the wristband. Now, if they use the at-the-line huddle, he's going to use hand signals. If they get in the huddle and he has his normal time, then he calls those defenses off of that wristband.
Deep is Morrell. Plummer. Incomplete. Flag on the play again. I started to say, Mark Trestman was saying that this hurry up, this at the line business fits the personality of Jake Plummer.
It does. The Vikings were in a zone blitz. Derek Alexander dropped out.
Number 96 defense lined up in the neutral zone. It's a 5-yard penalty.
That's Jerry Ball.
This is really against the Vikings, but if you look here, Jake Plummer never had control of that ball to throw it.
Well, he turned it around just before he let it go.
He looked like he wasn't comfortable in the position he had. He went to change it. But Jerry Ball, who we talk about, who takes as much of the football as he can, was in the neutral zone.
1st and 5, another flag. This one is against Arizona.
There's Foge Fazio. He's
prior to the snap. Ball start. Number 75. Offense. 5-yard penalty.
Lomas Brown, the veteran who spent so many good years with Detroit.
That's the last guy that you would expect. Lomas Brown here, a 14-year veteran. And if you have to say, you know, who's the best offensive lineman on this Cardinal team, it's Lomas Brown. Who's the most consistent, it's Lomas Brown. Who would be the last guy that would be jumping? I mean, he played all those years at Detroit. He played so many games here. You would say Lomas Brown. He's the first guy.
Plummer gets it to Sanders across the middle, and Sanders will get enough for an Arizona first down.
And Sanders is saying it's about time, but now again the Cardinals are going in the at the line. You see, they're not huddling up, they're just right at the line. He just calls the plays, he tells the formation here. You see now the Vikings, they can't turn their back. That's a big thing in the defense, is you can't turn your back to the offense because you never know what formation they're going to get into, when they're going to break, or when they're going to snap the ball.
That's one of the things the Vikings were saying. We got to remember to face them. Handoff is to Adrian Morrell, was stopped right at the line of scrimmage by Dixon Edwards. Flag again.
You know, whether this thing is really effective or not, and it is working pretty well, this at the line huddle, it's getting a lot of penalties on both sides.
A lot of people in the conference.
Well, I think they have 3 in the conference and 2 that are guard dogging them.
There's no infraction on the play. 2nd down.
False alarm.
I wonder if there were no infraction, what it was.
What was the discussion in the conference about?
I don't know. I mean, someone must have.
That's Mark Trestman.
Someone must have thrown something and then think that they didn't see it, or thrown something and then got talked out of it. But you see here, they're still having their little conference there, aren't they?
Yeah, Tom White, the referee, in the white hat. Remember when the referee used to be in the black hat and all the rest of them in white?
Right, and then they just flip-flopped it. I think if the Cardinals are going to stay in this game, they need to score here. I mean, they have to get something on the board. The first points are always the toughest to get something on the board to build upon.
Even 3. Open is Chris Getney. Getney knocked out of bounds.
Because that's one thing, you know, that, you know, Jake Plummer, you know, can do it. Remember when we did the Dallas game and the Cardinals didn't look good at all in the first half, and then the second half they came out and just opened up, and they did it a lot with this no huddle, with this quick pace. You know, and Jake Plummer loves this type of thing. Here you see both coordinators there, Foge Fazio on the right calling the defenses, Mark Trestman on the left calling the play.
Orlando Thomas pulled his right hamstring, is out of the game. Bass has taken his place in the Viking secondary. Here's Jake Plummer dropping. That's to Larry Centers, and he gets inside the Viking 5.
You know, it's interesting how Jake Plummer hadn't completed a pass his whole game, and he hit that first little thing out here to Larry Centers. And that got him off the schneid, or whatever you call that. That got him started. That got Mark Trestman right here into some kind of groove and calling plays. That put Foge Fazio a little on the defensive, and the flow is starting to change right here, or started to change on that first reception by Larry Centers.
Plummer's 5 out of 5 on this drive. Knocked in the air, incomplete, a flag on the play. Corey Fuller hit Rob Moore a little bit too early in the opinion of the officials.
Well, that was that slant, and remember how Aeneas Williams had played it earlier. Corey Fuller tried to play it like that.
Pass interference. Number 27, defense. Foul occurred in the end zone. Ball was placed on the 1-yard line. First and goal.
You see, here's Corey Fuller here. He's right here, so he's going to come in, and he's looking in at the quarterback. You see, when he tries to get inside, right there's a little bump on Rob Moore.
Did it with his body.
And you see what Aeneas Williams did. Aeneas Williams undercut that thing and got an interception. Corey Fuller tried to ride it in from behind, and when he tried to go over the top, he got the penalty.
Mario Bates is deep. He gets the call, a carry, he doesn't make it.
Let him go, they say.
Let him unstack.
Yep. Adrian Morrell is the starting tailback for this group. With Mario Bates, they put in short yardage and goal line. And you see Bates, he's in the I formation. Jurius Hayes is the lead blocker. And the Vikings give him nothing right there.
Second and goal at the 1.
Dwayne Rudd was right there at the hole. Both of those safeties were up there.
That's another guy who's looked good every time we've seen the Vikings play.
Robert Griffith.
Plummer tries to sneak it in. There's a flag on the play, and Plummer didn't make it.
It was that flop in there in the ground. It had to be John Randall, but it wasn't. It was Jerry Ball, I think.
I want to see that.
Well, it was Tony Williams, I guess.
That's a tough penalty.
5-yard penalty. Second down.
Lomas Brown.
Yeah, they call it again on Lomas Brown. No, that's not Lomas Brown.
No, it's not.
I'll tell you who it was. There was a guy next to Lomas Brown who was Mike Devlin. He's a backup offensive lineman, comes in on goal line.
Playing tight end.
And plays tight end. What a tackle on Jake Plummer. All that's going to do is knock him back and get him out of a running situation.
4-3-9.
Gonna reset the clock. They lost 2 seconds.
But that they also lost a run position.
39 seconds. Thank you.
Because of that penalty. So now I would think that on second down that this would be a passing play. The Cardinals are in 4 wide receiver look.
Plummer, quarterback draw. Gets back to about the original line of scrimmage.
And that's not a bad idea. You know, he just reads the box. And he goes in and he goes 4 wide receivers. And if there's 5 men in the box, you see they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then he's going to run the ball. If there were 6 men in the box, he would pass the ball. He just had too far to go. Had he needed about 3 or 4 yards, that would have been a touchdown. But he needed about 5 or 6, and that led, that extra couple yardage gave him the time to react to it.
Third and goal at the 1. Bates is deep. Plummer's going to throw it. Does throw. Incomplete. 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 Getney couldn't find the handle. Thought he had it for a moment.
Well, Jake Plummer finally got something going. The Cardinals got into a roll here, so now they can start playing offense. Gedney is a backup tight end, and they like him in the passing game a lot, and they throw to him. That's a perfect pass. I mean, he was right there. Jake Plummer threw it exactly where he had to. Chris Gedney just dropped the ball.
No field goal.
I can't believe this. You don't have to do this early in the game.
Adrian Morrell is deep. Fake is to him. Jake Plummer looking. Got to throw it to somebody and throws it out of the end zone. The Vikings stop them from scoring, but there's a flag on the play.
Yeah, and that, I mean, I've always said that the toughest points to get are the first punch. You always get on the board. I can't see them going for that on 4th down.
First personal foul. Roughing the passer, number 57. Get the quarterback out of bounds. That'll be a first down.
Wow. Look at this. Jake Plummer throws that ball. Dwayne Rudd comes across. Watch Rudd. He's trying to avoid that. He's not trying to hit him, or at least he put his arms out like he was trying to avoid him, but he did hit him with his chest. Oof. The Cardinals dodged a bullet there. I mean, this is going to be
a tough call.
Yeah, that is a tough call, but the thing is Rudd could have stopped. I mean, he put his hands out there, but he could have stopped.
The key to the whole thing, I guess, is that was 4th down. Now it's back to 1st down. They got 4 more pops.
Yeah, and the mistake that the Cardinals made, they got erased. They had an eraser on that pencil.
Oh, boy. Do they ever. Bates gets in the end zone. Touchdown, Arizona.
Touchdown, Cardinals.
You saw Vince Tobin's signal go for the extra point. Don't go for 2.
Yeah, well, they finally got on the board, and Jake Plummer is getting some confidence now. The offensive line has some control. They got a break by getting that penalty when they elected to go for it on 4th down, and now they're back in this game.
Yeah.
But again, it all started with that little pass to Larry Centers, and that's why Larry Centers is so important to this Cardinal offense and always has been.
13 plays, 80 yards, 7 minutes, 52 seconds. That was the second play, the play you're talking about, second play of that drive. Flags on this play.
And isn't it something how the tempo of this game has changed? When the Cardinals went to that no huddle, it changed the whole tempo, and we've had about 7 or 8 flags since that point.
And how about the noise? Listen, the crowd has settled down.
94 offense, 5-yard penalty, retry.
Well, that's always been the way to take the crowd out of there, is to do well, because if you're doing well, if you're the visiting team and you're doing well, then if the crowd yells, they're yelling for you.
Chris Jackie hit the extra point. Now he'll have to do it from 5 yards further back.
Since they changed the pace on this game, it's gotten a little sloppy, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has.
More competitive, but more sloppy.
It's a game instead of a blowout.
Kick is good. Minnesota 17.
And the extra point by Jackie is good, and it's 17-7. Tonight on Fox, it's the series that critics are calling TV's next big adventure. From the mind and mouth of Eddie Murphy comes a groundbreaking new show. Catch the world premiere of the PJs tonight at 8:30, 7:30 Central after an all-new Simpsons on Fox.
Well, Jake Plummer finally got into a groove here, and again, they had that 4th down penalty, but that was a good call by the officials. I mean, Dwayne Rudd could have stopped and didn't, and hit Jake Plummer out of bounds on 4th down.
That's David Palmer, breaks away. Up to about the 26, he makes things exciting.
There's Dwayne Rudd there, and I think, he probably knows it, because when he hit him, I mean, it was after Jake Plummer had gone out of bounds, and he put both hands out, but that doesn't mean just because you put both hands out that you can hit him.
Plus, he had already thrown the ball.
Yeah, and the ball was gone. He was out of bounds. Everything was wrong with that one. The Cardinals are in a nickel defense, 5 defensive backs now on 1st down.
Cunningham put his hand on his left hip as if to change the play. That's Robert Smith.
Well, that's one of the things that you do when you go to nickel. What they do is they bring in Tommy Knight, number 22, so he gives them their 5th defensive back. So what you're doing is you're saying if they're going to play us with 5 defensive backs, that means that they take out a linebacker. Now, if they take out a linebacker, they have 1 less run defender, and that's when you want to run the ball, and that's what Randall Cunningham did.
And Lassiter again had to make the tackle. 3 wide receivers set up for the Vikings this time. Cunningham gives to Smith. Smith all the way inside the Cardinal 40.
That's the way to get him out of nickel. If they want to play nickel on regular downs, you just run at him. And that's exactly what you watch. Tommy Knight will go out of here. Here we just see Robert Smith here, and we look at the block. You see Jeff Christie does a great job. Not a good job. He does a great job of getting movement on the nose tackle. Because if you can get stop penetration, then that's good. If you can get a little movement, as he did there, it's going to be really good.
1st and 10, Minnesota. Cunningham to Horde. And Leroy Horde hammers down. Stopped again by Lassiter. The 2-minute warning signaling the end of the first half with the Vikings leading by 10. Don't forget, next Sunday, coverage begins 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, either in Atlanta or here. The Falcons have already won, led by Jamal Anderson and a tenacious defense. The 49ers fought valiantly, didn't they?
They sure did.
Smith again steps in and out of tackle and gets enough to get down until about the 22-yard line.
You know, that's one of the things we talked about. What started this running here of the Minnesota Vikings, it was the nickel defense. And anytime they use nickel defense, the way you run them out of nickel defense is by running the ball. But I think then they found something that's pretty good here, and running is also a way to get control back of the game.
Another one of the many things they do so well. Carter, no.
Oh, you aren't going to see that very often.
No. And you know what?
I mean, Chris Carter is a great receiver, and he's even better when you get in the red zone.
He got too close to his body.
Yep, that's exactly what happened. But he had it out there in his hands, and I think as he brought it into his body, I think it hits his face mask. Watch him, it's in his hands, and he's bringing it into the body, and then it hits his face mask, and it bounces out of his hands because it hit his face mask.
If he's just hands, that's a touchdown. It doesn't hit that face mask. Cunningham's going to try again. This is out to Andrew Glover.
Randall Cunningham was telling us the other day that that's what he likes about Andrew Glover, that with Randy Moss and with Chris Carter, and he said they start taking those guys away. He said they have to give me Andrew Glover, and he's such a big target. I mean, as we said before, he's 6'6", about 260 pounds. Just watching him the other day and standing by him, I said, holy moly, I had no idea this guy was that big.
I didn't either.
I remember him when he was with the Raiders.
Yeah. That's Leroy Horde. Coming up on the Visa halftime report, JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris will have first half analysis, plus highlights of the first game, the Jacksonville, New York Jets game. And our Fox Sports ticker will have up to the second stats. That's all coming up on the Visa halftime report.
I tell you, this Minnesota Viking team has really had the way with this Cardinal defense. And again, we've talked about the running back, Robert Smith, and then they go to Horde, and they have Palmer back there and the wide receivers. But again, it all starts with this offensive line, and they've really had control there. We showed what a great block that Jeff Christie made in there in the middle, but that whole offensive line has had control of that defensive line of the Cardinals this whole game.
So much so that Lassiter, the safety man, has made 10 tackles already.
And when you talk about great offensive linemen, you have to talk about Randall McDaniel there, the left guard. He's like in the Pro Bowl every year.
There's Cunningham, gets away from one blitzer. Wadsworth gets the ball out to Horde. And Horde, touchdown. A delayed call. I think the official who was looking at it lost his whistle for a moment.
That's where Randall Cunningham has always been so tough, is rolling out, scrambling to his right. This isn't a design play. He just gets out of that pocket, buys time, gets out there, and then he gets another look at stuff. He gets another look, and look what he finds. Leroy Horde, and Leroy Horde just got that ball inside the pylon.
High ball.
Enos Williams down.
Well, Aeneas Williams has been doing such a great job today on Randy Moss. He's been covering him all over the field. Randy Moss has only caught that one pass against him. We talked about Randall McDaniel. Watch his block on that. I mean, watch his pass protection. I mean, he is so strong that he can just stand up and get his hands underneath you. And there's no way that when you get in that push, he just gets his leverage, and his arms and his shoulders are so strong that he just stops you.
Has a very
little push, and right now is stopped.
Very unique stance.
Yeah, that was from when he had a bad angle. But you see, the big thing on that play was Randall Cunningham.
Yep.
I mean, buying time, getting out there, getting another look at it, and finding Leroy Horde.
8 plays, 74 yards. The Vikings. And Gary Anderson will try the extra point. And again, he hasn't missed a kick of any kind. Extra point or field goal.
There's only one word for that, isn't there?
Yeah, there sure is. Don't forget, again, coming up on the Visa halftime report, J.B. Terry, Howie, and Chris will have the analysis of the first half. Highlights of the Jacksonville, New York Jet game. Our Fox Sports ticker will have up to the second statistics. That's all coming up on the Visa halftime report. Randall Cunningham. He is like, well, not only a new man, a different man.
And you know, he's doing it so calmly that he makes everything look easy. And he's doing everything in a relaxed mode, usually with a smile on his face, and even during a football game, can find a place for a laugh.
Red McComb.
There's a smile on his face, too. I'll tell you, what an addition he's been to this Minnesota Viking franchise. I mean, he came in and bought this team, and they were kind of in turmoil, and he took over and said that he's the guy, and he's the one owner, and gave Denny Green a contract extension, gave all his assistant coaches new contracts, and put some organization back into this organization.
Some
the Minnesota Vikings needed Red McComb. The NFL needed Red McComb.
And he is really, really having a good time. How could you not?
Yeah, I mean, he first took over this team and said, I don't see how we can lose a game. We may win them all.
And he hadn't seen them lose a game.
Yeah, they've only lost one, and he wasn't there. Red said, heck, this NFL's easy.
Yeah.
Paul Tagliabue, the commissioner's up there with him someplace, I think.
Berger hammers it out of the end zone.
Did he get energy on that one? Now, Berger, after he kicks off one like this, he comes over and he eats a candy bar.
Yeah?
You know what I can't understand? He keeps a candy bar in his shoe. Now, he goes over, and there it is right there. You see, he has a Snickers in there. He takes a bite of Snickers, but, you know, in all the years that I coached...
Then he puts it back in the shoe.
I know, but of all the years that I coached and all the teams that I had, any time that a guy would have a candy bar, someone else would eat it. I don't know why all the other players leave him alone. Why some guy...
Because it's in his shoe.
Yeah, but that's wrapped. I mean, who's can't during a football game? I need a candy bar out of his shoe.
Somebody else's? Larry Center. He's got his, in case he wants to know what time it is, he's got his watch in there.
That has to be a kicker's thing. He said the other day, he says, he said, you talk about the candy bar, you talk about shoes, you talk about what? He said, how about the fact that I'm a good kicker? And I said, yeah, okay, you're right. You know, sometimes a guy has a little quirk here and there, and kickers tend to have little quirks here and there, and
they do indeed.
Then you tend to get on their quirks and you forget how well they play.
I've always maintained that that was the bottom line.
Well, Mitch Berger, plays very well. I mean, we know that I mean, he gives them such good field position. I mean, when he kicks the ball off, the best friend of a kickoff coverage team is a kicker that kicks the ball into the end zone. And that combination of Mitch Berger and Gary Anderson is something on this Minnesota Viking team that doesn't even get talked about. You know, by the time you get through their offense and a few defensive players, you never get into the fact that, hey, these kickers are also the best.
Well, how much? There they are, and that's what they've done this year. That includes today.
They have 42 touchbacks. That means the ball is kicked in the end zone and they don't return it. And Gary Anderson, like I said, there's only one word for that.
Yeah.
You got it.
Well, how much time, I started to say, how much time do the special teams spend on the field? They say it's about 15%. Didn't George Allen figure that out one time?
Yeah, I mean, or more than that,
Yeah.
I think. But, you know, and it has to be given equal time in all areas.
Jake Plummer, his receiver, the intended receiver, fell down or was tripped. It was Rob Moore.
It was funny how the Vikings, you know, took back where they let the Cardinals, you know, get a little play, get a touchdown, kind of get some rhythm going, and then they took back control of the game. And the way they did it was with their offensive line and the running game. And then that rested their defense because of the long drive. Now the defense can come in there. They're fresh. They can go after them. And all these things is what team play and chemistry is all about.
Morrell. Taken down by Jimmy Hitchcock. Been another great addition to this Minnesota defense.
Well, it's one of those things that, you know, that's where they were vulnerable. You know, that last year, you know, the Minnesota Vikings were a good offense, but you could also score a lot of points against them, and they needed a corner. They got Jimmy Hitchcock. They got him from the Patriots, brought him in there, and he really solidified that right corner. He's given him 7 interceptions.
Yeah.
And he's a guy that really studies hard and, you know, does film work and is a smart football player, and that has helped this defense out along with the offense being so strong. What the heck was Chris Carter doing? Did he have his shirt halfway off or halfway on or something?
He had something like a flak jacket on, or a mini flak jacket.
Well, he has a belt that's too high for a regular belt.
Yeah.
And it probably got a little tight. You know, it's like, you know how you see he knows it's halftime. He's not going to play anymore. So you know how after you have a big meal, you always loosen your belt to just open it up?
Yeah.
I think this first half has been like a big meal for Chris Carter.
Indeed.
Wait a minute, straighten the chain out. Okay, could you
you
see the chain flop in there?
I did.
Huh?
Scientific game.
There was a chink in that man's armor.
They talk about computers and something's wrong with the chain. It's more than it looked like when it was out there before they got the chink out.
I think there's a couple extra links in that chain that they that they put the thing too far up.
There it is.
Look at that.
It's wrapped around the pole.
There you go. It just popped out. Now, after you get the chink out of your thing, then you got to pull it again.
That could be vital.
It could be very vital, but that's just halftime.
That's the end of the first half with the score. The Vikings 24. The Cardinals 7. This Fox NFC Divisional game will continue with the Visa halftime report after these messages and a word from your local Fox station.
Welcome to the Visa Halftime Report. Visa, the preferred card of the NFL that's everywhere you want to be.
Welcome to the Visa halftime here in Los Angeles. Minnesota has a number of under-publicized weapons, including Leroy Hoard, 10 touchdowns during the regular season. He scored once every 13 times he touched the ball. He scored there. That made it 24-7 Minnesota at the half as we welcome you back inside of Studio 2A. Chris, Howie, Terry, yours truly, James Brown. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar once said about his Lakers, we have far too many weapons and too many ways to use them. Minnesota certainly has a plethora of weapons.
Yes.
Whole
yes.
bunch.
Yes, they do.
Lots of them.
You know, one of the things that I said on the pregame show was that there's one other guy that's no one has really mentioned, that's running back. He's actually a receiver, kickoff return specialist, David Palmer, out of the University of Alabama. He was an option quarterback there. He was a high school quarterback. Well, here out of the shotgun, he takes the snap directly, goes around the right end, first down. Well, they're not through yet. Now he goes in motion, wide right, double wing right. Cunningham fires a quick little hitch to him. He turns it up the field, another first down. And then later from the shotgun, David Palmer rolls right and then attempts to throw a pass. So what Brian Billick has done is gotten everybody involved in this offense. Everyone, including running backs, wide receivers, has caught a pass.
And Jake Plummer, for as great a player as he's been this year, he fell into the Vikings trap that so many quarterbacks have. The Vikings are going to give you the short ball control passes underneath, but they're not going to let you work it down the field. Jake's with the pump fake, little look late down the middle, gets picked off, had 2 early interceptions, really turned this thing around. Now on the one long drive that they had down the field, he got back to it. Dump it off to the back, dump it off to the tight end, work the ball down the field. The Vikings let you have that one. They're not going to give you the big shot.
Yeah, I agree with John Madden. The Minnesota Vikings reestablished in that last drive. At that point, Arizona held them out of the end zone on 2 long drives. Once an interception, held them to a field goal another time. That last touchdown really hurt them. Over 20 minutes in time of possession. The offensive line in the running game is a slow, methodical way to get beaten. That defense has to be tired. Jake the Snake led them on a 7-minute, 52-second drive, their longest time possession drive of the year. That defense right now is in that locker room with their tongue around their shoes. That's when fatigue sets in, and that's when you have bigger plays.
Take away something. I don't care what you do. Robert Smith, 81 yards rushing, everybody's kept. Take away something.
There's 11 holes in the boat.
Take away the running game.
There's 11 holes in the boat. You got 10
throw it. You're going. That's the only way you got a chance. You got to take away the running game.
The AFC title picture now is all set in terms of who will be playing. It will be the New York Jets against Denver. Keyshawn Johnson played a big role for the Jets today.
Warming up, Vinny Testaverde back, down the middle, post route. Where's the linebackers? Where's the safeties? I don't know. There's your touchdown, 7-0. Keyshawn Johnson on a reverse, 10-yard touchdown, 17-0 Jets. But back comes Mark Brunell as he'll find Jimmy Smith, 19-yard, great catch in the end zone, 31-21 at this point. And then Hail Mary pass, down, who's up, who makes the grab? You got it. Keyshawn Johnson with an interception. He ran for one, he caught one, he intercepted. Hey, the Jets are absolutely, right now, the most prolific offensive football team in the American Football Conference.
Jets will now be playing Denver. That'll be next week. And our own Susie Colbert was at the Meadowlands, caught up with Keyshawn.
Well, Keyshawn Johnson certainly knows how to make a statement. Your first catch in the postseason is a touchdown.
Well, you know, I think that the things that we wanted to come out here and do some things to exploit their defense in the passing game, and we did it. Our coaches had a wonderful game plan for us, so I'm just excited at the fact that we get an opportunity from 1-15 2 years ago to play in an AFC Championship game.
All right, and speaking of that AFC Championship game, Jets back in the title game for the first time since 1983, but they're 0-3 in Denver.
The Jets made a lot of great plays out there today, but they also made a lot of big mistakes. They only have 19 players with playoff experience. They got away with the mistakes out there today, but next week against the world champions in Denver, they have to clean it up.
Last Jets victory in Denver in 1978. But you like the Jets. You say they are playing the best?
I think they are. I think they're absolutely playing the best.
All righty, folks. With that in mind, 24-7 the halftime score here. We will rejoin Pat Summerall and John Madden after this.
At the Metrodome, Minnesota 24, Arizona 7. The grand prize winner, you call it, is Ralph Hughes, and he wins a trip for 2 to Super Bowl 33. Join us on the internet and log on to foxsports.com. This week's Ask the Pros question is, does Minnesota have the best chance to win the Super Bowl? That's the question posed by Cisco Eubank from Great Falls, Montana. I hope I got Cisco's last name correctly. What do you think about Minnesota's chances?
Yeah, I think they have the best chance because, you know, they've been the best team all year. They had the best regular season record. You know, they get to play the championship game at home, so I think that gives them a benefit there. And then, of course, you know, when you get to the Super Bowl, you don't know who's going to be there or what that matchup will be. But it's going to be an interesting thing that you know, that next week will be the first championship game that's ever been played in a dome.
Yeah.
And that means that we're going to have the first team in the Super Bowl that's ever come from a stadium that's played in a dome. So some of those old things that we've been talking about for a long time are going to be broken this year.
No matter where the game is next week, it's going to be in a dome. We'll return to the Metrodome for the start of the second half after these messages and a word from your local Fox station. 7, the Vikings and Cardinals have both returned to the field. Let's look at halftime statistics, John.
Well, I mean, it was just all about the Vikings. If you look at the rushing yards, 124-20, and that's where you really control time and the clock. And you know, when you have this, then you're usually going to get that. But the Vikings also had everything else. I mean, they had the pass yards, they had the total plays, they had one less turnover. So in that first half, the Vikings beat the Cardinals every way that a team can be beaten.
21 Garrett Metcalf back deep for the Cardinals.
Quarterback comparison, Plummer 6 out of 12, Cunningham 11 out of 16, 2 touchdowns, 1 intercepted. Jake's had 2 intercepted. No, excuse me, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that's a halftime comparison, but really Jake Plummer didn't even have a completion in the first quarter. So those numbers were Jake Plummer's passing numbers were about second quarter numbers.
And one drive almost. Let's go down to Ron Pitts now on the sideline.
All right, thank you, Pat. I talked to Vince Tobin. He said the big problem for us is that we are not wrapping up and we're not getting off blocks in our front defensive four. It's not a matter of fronts. It's not a matter of getting caught with the nickel personnel in the field. We got to do a better job of getting off blocks. I talked to Brian Billick, the offensive coordinator for the Vikings. He said, I feel confident we can run the ball whenever we want to, wherever we want to. I'm going to hold on to that and play action pass and look for the deep ball when I get a chance. Pat, back up to you.
Well, the Vikings certainly made like Brian Billick knew what he was talking about. That's Adrian Morrell. Hit by Derek Alexander. Picked up about 3.
You know, and part of that, you know, Vince Tobin was talking about, that his defense has to get off blocks. I think you can say the other side, you know, like we said in the first half, that Minnesota offensive line has done such a good job of not letting them get off blocks, of sending them, putting them back and getting angles and doing all those things. They were almost perfect except for a few blitzes.
Those guys keep burrowing. It's going to be tougher to get off blocks. Pass caught by Metcalf. And he's going to be short of a first down by about 3.
Corey Fuller really played that one well, Pat. I mean, that's the thing that you want to do. You want to be under control, and you want to have your knees bent. Watch Fuller out here in this tackle. Metcalf catches a ball in front of him, but watch how he breaks down, bends his knees, doesn't go for anything, just keeps his head right in front of his numbers, his head up, his eyes up, his knees bent. That was a perfect open field tackle.
4 wide outs. Good blitz time if you're the Vikings. They don't bring it. Derek Metcalf made the catch and picked up enough for Arizona first down.
Now we see Jeff Plummer. Jake Plummer. He's saying that he wants, you know, the play, and he wants it quickly because he doesn't want to, you know, he wants to get back into a rhythm, you know, and not let the defense get into a rhythm with him. So he has that quick huddle. So now he gets up to the line of scrimmage with plenty of time to look at what this defense is doing.
Plummer drops, screen pass. And Jerry Ball stayed with it. Larry Centers caught by Jerry Ball.
You know, that's one of the things that I've noticed this year, that defensive tackles are really playing screens. We're seeing more screen passes in football, and defensive tackles are playing them better than they ever have. You know, that the minute that they see screen, instead of continuing to rush the passer, they're just running straight down the line, and they're meeting the receiver right at the line of scrimmage.
Morrell. Adrian Morrell, midfield. Derek Alexander.
See, Ed McDaniel has to make that play because they double-team Jerry Ball. And that's the old thing, that if they double-team Jerry Ball, then Ed McDaniel has to make the play. If they single-team Jerry Ball, then he has to make the play. Watch Jerry Ball. See the double-team there? When they get double, Ed McDaniel has to be free. Ed McDaniel ran out in the 5-hole, and the ball was run in the 1-hole.
Burrell tucks it back again. Gets to the Viking 43-yard line, 44, call it.
See, that was the thing that, you know, I'm sure that they talked about in the locker room at halftime is that we can't become one-dimensional. Even though we're down 24-7, we just can't go out and pass every down. We have to get some running to keep the defense playing two-dimensional football.
2nd and 3. Caught by Johnny McWilliams.
If you look again at this on-the-line huddle, you see the Cardinals are now. That means now watch the defense. They can't get in a huddle either. And they don't want to turn their backs. You see, they all want to be looking here, and they have to be able to get the signals from the sideline, not off the wristbands.
Plummer still yelling. 1st and 10. Back to Morrell. Flag on the play. John Randall.
I thought I heard a whistle, too, Brad. I thought I heard a whistle before the ball was snapped. If it's against the offense, we did hear
Prior
it.
to the snap, false start. Number 64, offense, 5-yard penalty. 1st down.
James Dexter, who's been playing pretty well.
Yeah, he has been playing pretty well, and that's a funny time to have a false start because he's the right tackle, and the ball was being run to the left side away from him. Usually the guy that jumps is on pass protection, or the guy where the ball is being run at his hole.
3 wide receivers set up. Jake Plummer drops and throws. Pass is caught. Maybe it bounced. But the official says it is a catch. Rob Moore.
The official was right there, and he was saying good catch. This is one of the things, you know, that a lot of quarterbacks will not throw to receivers, but throw away from defenders.
Yep.
And I think that's exactly what Jake Plummer was doing there, and he says that he does that. You know, throw it in a place where you hope your guy can catch it, but you know that their guy's not going to.
2nd and 4. That's Morrell. Stopped by Tony Williams right at the line of scrimmage.
I'll tell you, the guy that really stopped it was Dwayne Rudd. They were trying to get a lead on him, and he stuffed Larry Sanders. Watch Dwayne Rudd here. When he sees this run coming, he is really going to hit this thing, and he gives him no hole there. See him hit it there and take on the lead block?
Yeah.
And now when he did that, that forced the ball back to the inside.
3rd and 4.
Rudd blew that thing up.
Plummer gets rid of it to Rob Moore, and Moore is inside the Viking 10. That is Jake at his best.
Yeah, that's why they call him Jake the Snake, because he's never out of it, and that's the way he plays. I mean, he's always having fun, and he's a guy that the ball is always alive. And you see, he steps up here, then he moves around, and they got hold of it, and he throws it back across his body, throws it to the other side.
Up over his head.
That's it. Well, he says that he practices throwing from every angle. He calls it practicing the clock. He says because you don't get to throw the ball just perfectly every time.
Morrell gets down to about the 2.
Yeah, that's pretty good running here. Like that last one that Jake Plummer threw, that was his first completion of breaking the pocket, and that's usually what he does so well. But
yeah.
I think the thing, you know, we talked about how Minnesota lost control there for a little, lost some momentum, and they got it back with their running. The Cardinals are getting it back with their running.
Plummer didn't get in. Pass was complete to Sanders, but didn't break the plane.
Corey Fuller has made 2 real good tackles on this drive. We talked about the earlier one in the open field tackle, but watch him on this one. Watch Corey Fuller right here come up and whack. That's the thing. He just knocked him right back where he came from. And that is a tackle. I mean, you get underneath, you get leverage, and you just give them a lift. Boink.
They need about a foot. Mario Bates is in. Plummer throws it out of the end zone. Intended for Johnny McWilliams. No chance to catch it. And no sign of the field goal team yet.
Well, the field goal team is lined up over in the sideline. You see that Vince Tobin just walked in there, but they're going to go for it.
Yep.
And again, I don't know that they have to. I mean, every time I would get down here in a game like this, I would always take the field goal.
Well, they got a break the last time, remember, they were down here. They got 8 runs at it.
Yeah, well, it was a 4th down, incomplete pass, and Dwayne Rudd hit Jake Plummer after he threw the ball out of bounds. I think the Cardinals are going to take time out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, let's talk this one over. So Arizona will have 2 left. 24-7 Minnesota.
Fox NFC Divisional Playoff is brought to you by Genuine Chevrolet, the cars more Americans trust.
That guy's not building roads.
Nope, he's getting a hole for ice fishing.
Bates into the end zone. The Cardinals successful again when they gave up the field goal and took the try for the touchdown.
Well, Jake Plummer on that drive was 7 out of 8. Adrian Morrell had run for 27 yards, and then they're going to get it right in here. They're going to come right in this area. You see, they start on a double team. The tight end comes off. They make a couple of perfect blocks in there.
Yep.
They don't let the tackle get out there. They get a pretty good lead right there, and there was just no Vikings around.
John Randall hasn't made a tackle yet.
And a lot of that has to do with Lomas Brown.
Jackie's extra point is good, and it's 24-14. Ice fishing looks like fun.
Did it once.
That was enough.
NFL's consent is prohibited.
CBS doesn't have it. ABC doesn't have it. Now Fox has the Super Bowl.
And we'll be there. January 31st. Coverage begins at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Jackie to kick it off. 24-14. Palmer. Flag on the play already. The flags, there are 2 of them, are all the way back up at the 40-yard line.
Yeah, David Palmer took his time getting up into that wedge, didn't he? He had a good wedge developing there.
Cardinals offside.
The Arizona Cardinals were offside, so you would think that they'll make them kick it again.
Offsides. Number 52, kicking team, 5-yard penalty, re-kick.
Zach Walsh. 7:15 left to play in the 3rd. The Vikings up by 10.
You know, we always talk about, kickoff returns and good wedges, and again, that was a good wedge that the Vikings had going there, and Palmer looked like he lallygagged up to get into it.
Lallygagged.
Lallygagged.
I like that.
Is that a word?
I don't know.
He kerfuffled to get up in there.
I'll look him up as soon as I have a chance.
Well, you see that Arizona,
I find him.
Arizona had such a slow start there that that they've been in a comeback mode ever since, and because of that first quarter.
But the 2 drives they've had have looked very effective.
Yeah, because they got some running going.
Yeah.
And then once they got running going, then Jake Plummer can do what he does best, and that's throw the ball and run and throw the ball.
Palmer's at the 10, the 20. And almost broke it. And with a wise choice to make him kick it off again. Because the Vikings will start their offensive unit outside their own 40. 14, Pat Summerall with John Madden at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. The Cardinals, by being offside on the first time they kicked it off, lost 18 yards due to that penalty. Flag on the play as Cunningham is going to go deep. Moss, incomplete.
But Aeneas Williams is proud of that coverage because he caught up with him.
Yep, he should be.
He was saying before the game that, you know, that one of the guys that really played Randy Moss well was Darrell Green. And he played from outside in, so he could always see the ball and Randy Moss. And
offsides. Number 94, defense. Line up in the neutral zone. It's a 5-yard penalty. First down.
Bernard Wilson.
But Aeneas Williams said that he couldn't do that because he doesn't have speed like Darrell Green does, so he's just going to mix them up. And here you see, we talked about Randy Moss, what he wants. If he's beyond the guy or even with the guy, chunk it out there as far as you can. Randall Cunningham could have thrown a couple more steps on it.
Smith. Straight ahead. Close to a first down. He may have it.
That was one of the things that they've thought about. You know, we have to get the ball to Randy Moss. Randy Moss doesn't run a lot of short patterns, nor does he run a lot of inside patterns. So everyone now is just playing him for that deep ball. So I think somewhere they're going to have to start getting some hooks or crosses or different types of patterns to Randy Moss to give the defense something else to think about.
The Vikings have Jake Reed back. He was out, had been out for a long time with back problems, but he's back, alternating with Matthew Hatchett. We saw him work on this. Carter's open inside the 5. Corey Chavis brought him down.
They tried to get the ball deep to Randy Moss. Aeneas Williams had great coverage, so they went to a little trick, the old flea flicker. You hand the ball off to the running back. He throws it back to the quarterback, and then you go back and you throw the ball to Chris Carter. You see the run up here. Here's Chris Carter on the left, Randall Cunningham on the right. He didn't get it out there to Randy Moss, but he sure did get it out there to Chris Carter.
Perfect.
Chris Carter was telling me, he said that he hopes that Chavis plays on him.
Leroy Horde is hit hard and knocked backwards. He might have picked up a yard. There's Brian Billick.
Now see how he calls the plays. They're always afraid. They're a little paranoid, some of these offensive coordinators, and they're afraid someone's going to read their lips and steal the signals, so they put the board up in front when they call the play. But Chris Carter was telling me that he was watching Corey Chavis, who's just a rookie, and he said he's a little tight-hipped. And anytime you get a hipped corner, you can do double moves on him.
Cunningham, the fade, over Moss's head.
Moss is getting a little frustrated there. And Aeneas Williams was right up there talking to him. He's going to run all the way back to the huddle with him. Aeneas Williams said, you didn't have anything. Randy Moss said, I had something. This is where he's telling him, just chuck it up in the back of the end zone, dog. See, he wants it right now. He wants the ball quicker, and he felt that he just had to wait too long, and the ball was overthrown. See, because he did a good position. Randy Moss got in good position to let Randall Cunningham throw it to the outside. He just threw it too far to the outside.
3rd and goal at the 1. Catch was made by Chris Carter, but maybe he shouldn't have. When he threw the ball, did he throw it at the official?
I don't think he threw it at the official. I think that Randall Cunningham, the throw, brought him back.
It did.
He was in the end zone, and what the official's saying is that he bobbled the ball.
The ball is being placed in this spot because he was bobbling the ball. There was no original forward progress. 4th down.
You see, there was no original forward progress, which is true. He didn't have control of the ball. He was bobbling the ball, so it couldn't be forward progress stopped there. See, he still doesn't have control. He finally gets control, so that's where they counted him down.
Anderson hits the field goal from 20 yards out. Puts Minnesota ahead 27-14.
Sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl. By First Union, your guide to the financial world. By Burger King, where you can have the delicious king of fries. Burger King, when you have it your way, it just tastes better. And by Saturn, a different kind of company, a different kind of car.
There's Commissioner Paul Tagliabue. Spoke at a brunch here today earlier, along with Gene Upshaw. Metcalf, 5 yards deep in the end zone, brings it out. (27-14). The Vikings in control at the moment. The Cardinals have put together 2 good-looking drives. Tonight on Fox, it's the new series that critics are calling TV's next big adventure. From the mind and mouth of Eddie Murphy comes a groundbreaking new show. That's the world premiere of the PJs tonight at 8:30, 7:30 Central after an all-new Simpsons here on Fox. 1st and 10. Fumble. Plummer gets it back.
Yeah, we were just looking at the statistics when the Cardinals get in the huddle and when they don't get in the huddle. You're going to see the fumble here. He just never got the ball. I mean, he was getting out of there before the ball came out. At least with this artificial turf, the ball just bounced right up in his hands. But look at this. With a huddle, they average 2.4 yards per play. With no huddle, 6.7 yards per play.
Plummer to throw. Has Rob Moore out of bounds. You know, Jake Plummer looks, when you meet him, spend some time around him with him, he looks so frail.
Yeah, well, he is. But, I mean, when you watch him play, you can tell that he's just a kid, and he has fun playing. I mean, and the thing that impresses me about him is that, you know, he can throw the ball, but for a second-year guy, he has great game management. He has
really
great
does.
presence.
Presence enough to sneak it ahead when he saw something there.
Well, that was another one of those no huddle things, and we're going to see them. They're doing it again. The line just lines up there. But we talk about any time you see a bubble or a soft spot, you can just do that. In fact, they used to call that the goose play.
Yeah.
That if you would see that there's no one in front of you, you just hit your hands on the center. He'd give you the ball, and you just run right up the gut.
I think that's probably still what they call it.
The old goose play?
Goose, yeah.
You think they put a hold in front of it?
No. Centers never saw the ball coming. He was open. Plummer saw it. Larry Centers never saw it.
And Jake Plummer's complaining about something there, but you know, they have these things now with these blitzes where if they're going to be a guy free, you have to throw hot. Sometimes they throw hot and they're not ready to. About a guy who has a motor that goes all the time, but is going nowhere today is John Randall. And Lomas Brown has done a heck of a job on him out here. Here's Lomas Brown. Here's John Randall.
Adrian Morrell had to ask Centers what the play was. Clock is still running. Here comes the Viking blitz. They pick it up pretty well. Hitchcock juggled it, or he had a touch. He was ready to take it to the house.
And he knew that, too. We talked about Hitchcock. He had 7 interceptions this year, and they were all the same type, where he plays off, and then he looks and he jumps up. You see, he plays off, and then he jumps it just like that. He's back off where he can see the quarterback and the defender. And if he has enough time, he will jump it, undercut it, and intercept it. And he did that perfectly. And all the passes that he's intercepted have all been that type of pass in that same area.
Yep. And he almost had another one. Plummer dropped the ball again. There it comes out of the pack. The Vikings, I believe, have it. I think the Vikings recovered it. Yes, they did. Antonio Banks.
And there was a frustration flag came out of there, too.
Big discussion going on. Minnesota got their fumble. Banks recovered the fumble. Let's see.
Just watch this, man. The ball came up there, and Jake Plummer didn't close his hands on it. That was the first part of that thing. The Vikings recovered, and then this.
Fumble is recovered by Minnesota. After the recovery, we have a personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 75, which is enforced from the 20-yard line. After distance to the goal, first down.
Number 75, that was Lomas Brown.
Again.
He's the left tackle who's been doing such a good job out there on John Randall. You see the snap, Plummer just didn't close his hands. The ball's there on the ground. Then it comes out. The Vikings recover it. And here comes Lomas Brown right there. You can see that the official is saying no. I watch Larry Centers here, what he does at the bottom of the pile. That's what I said. Those were frustration penalties.
Yes.
Lomas Brown was frustrated, and Larry Centers was frustrated.
Two veterans you wouldn't expect to do things like that.
Well, and Jake Plummer fumbled the snap that started it all.
Cunningham incomplete. Carter, the intended receiver.
You see how calm he is? I mean, even when he does it, he knows that he could have had it or we'll get it later. And we talked about stiff hips and making moves. This is the type of thing that Chris Carter thought that he could do to Corey Chavis. But Corey Chavis really played that one well.
He sure did.
Corey Chavis was a rookie #1 draft choice. They started him this year as a strong safety. Had trouble at corner and finally moved him out and started him at that left corner.
And they say you can see him getting better and better every day. Horde. And a flag on the play.
One of the problems of playing corner on the other side of Aeneas Williams is they're always going to stay away from Aeneas Williams and throw at you.
You're going to get a lot of action.
You don't see this penalty a lot. Just it looked like Tom White was saying it's a tripping penalty.
Yeah, I think so. Mitch Tobin doesn't agree.
Tripping. Number 91, defense. I'll be half the distance to the goal. First down.
Shot Swinger.
You wonder how a guy in the middle that's just kind of flopping around there in the middle can trip. And you can just see him here. He just must throw his leg out right there. That's exactly what he does. He throws his right leg out. That's what happens when you miss and you're that big. I mean, you can't get back up and you have all your weight going one way. The only thing you can do is flop a leg out there. That's exactly what he did.
First and goal at the 2. Carter in motion. And Cunningham looking and finding Randy Moss for a Minnesota 6.
Randy Moss out there. See, because of the motion, Aeneas Williams gets off him. And that's exactly what they wanted. And then the strong safety, Tommy Bennett, has to get on him. So that was a pretty good thing by putting Chris Carter out there. That took Aeneas Williams off of Randy Moss.
And Randy Moss scored the touchdown and then posed for the photographers.
Well, Randy Moss is going to do a lot of things that you've never seen before in the NFL. This could be one of them.
Yeah.
Randall Cunningham, what a year. I mean, who would have thought? Here was a guy that was a couple of years ago, he'd retired. He had a marble business in Las Vegas, and he was working it.
He even said, I enjoy the game. I dreaded going to practice. I dreaded going. I hated it. And he ran into Denny Green in one of the bowl games. And Denny said, hey, you're too young to be giving this game up. You're too young to quit. How about coming back? They brought him back as a potential backup to Brad Johnson. He got hurt. And the rest of the story is a phenomenal story.
And then I think, part of that gift is coming back was Randy Moss.
Yeah.
Randy Moss being a rookie, #1 draft choice. Not drafted until the 21st pick of the first round. A lot of teams passed on him, obviously. And Randall Cunningham said, hey, this is something pretty good here. And he started chucking it deep to him, and the rest of that is history, too. That was Randy Moss's 8th consecutive game with a touchdown reception.
Berger drives Metcalf to the back of the end zone, and he stays there. The countdown continues for Super Bowl 33 and the Progressive Auto Insurance Super Bowl 33 halftime show featuring Stevie Wonder, Gloria Estefan, and Big Bad Voodoo Daddy. That's Sunday, January 31st on Fox.
I didn't know that there was that many big bad voodoo daddies around because, you know, we have the All-Madden team. We got guys out here. We got Jerry Ball playing like that. I mean, we got a lot of big bad voodoo daddies. There's not just one, but they're probably all going to be there at the Super Bowl anyway.
I would imagine.
Led by Stevie Wonder.
Here's Plummer. Drops it out to Morrell. Pretty good move.
Bad tackling.
Couple of pretty good moves. Morrell at the Minnesota 41, stopped finally by Robert Griffith.
Who's the best tackler back there. I mean, that was a good run by Adrian Morrell, but it was some real poor tackling because the Vikings have him surrounded there. I mean, they have all kinds of guys. Watch him converge here. Now the guy that is going to finally get him is Robert Griffith. He's going to come all the way across the field. He was in position to miss him the first time.
Morrell again.
And then anytime, you know, you see Robert Griffith up there, when a team starts running on you, they use Robert Griffith like another linebacker. Now, because he had to play more pass defense, we talked about this earlier, he lost 8 pounds this week. He'll play a running team at 200. He's playing today's game at 192 pounds.
Well, he's got ways of doing it. Jake Plummer under heavy pressure. Couldn't get much on it. 18 seconds left in the third quarter.
And there was good coverage out there by Jimmy Hitchcock. I mean, there was nothing there, so Jake Plummer just threw that ball away. And you see the effect. You see even the corners with this no huddle or at the line huddle, even the corners don't come to the huddle. They just stay out there on the side. See, Jimmy Hitchcock stays on his side. Corey Fuller stays on their side. Then they all look to the sideline to Foge Fazio, who signals in the defense to him.
Here comes the flag. You saw the play clock.
Yep, and you give this one to the crowd.
Yard penalty, third down.
And that's the thing that the Cardinals were talking about before this game is, you know, is the crowd and how you take them out and how you're going to do your snap count, your start count, all those things. And of all those things, the situation that they worried most about was that right there, the third down, and specifically this shotgun that they're in right now.
Jake. Here comes the blitz. He's going deep. Intended for more, but again, because of the pressure, he couldn't get much on it.
And you see the way when you get this crowd, the thing that they decided to do was a silent count. And the silent count is off the center. Now watch, when the center lifts his head, after he lifts his head, they're going to go 1,001. He lifts his head, 1,001, and he snaps the ball. That's their silent count. When his head is down, there's no count. He lifts it, 1,001, ball is snapped.
Graham, the center.
It didn't do any good. This game is just about way too much Minnesota offense.
They're going to let the clock run down. The Cardinals were ready to punt it, and Palmer is back deep for Minnesota.
You know, it's funny. I think the Viking offense has gotten to the Cardinal defense, and the defense has gotten to the offense, and the kicking team's gotten to the kicking, and the crowd has played pretty well too.
You know, I didn't understand when I first heard the schedule why the Cardinals didn't come in here a day early and get a workout in the dome. And if you're going to get comfortable, because you can't put the crowd in here, you can't simulate that no matter what noise you put in. But at least have a look at it. and get the feel of it.
I always believed in that. I always did when I was coaching. We always practiced at the stadium we were going to play in the day before we played.
They got here, what, 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Practiced in Arizona.
Well,
Next, excuse me.
No, I was just going to say next week the team does have to come in.
Yeah.
It'll be the Atlanta Falcons if the Minnesota Vikings continue here, and then the league runs a championship game. Then they have press conferences and everything. So the visiting team, the Atlanta Falcons, will have to come in here on Friday.
Wouldn't be quite the same for the. It won't be quite the same for the Atlanta Falcons if indeed that happens, because they also play in a dome.
Yeah, but they're going to be on the other side of the noise factor.
That's very true. It's Robert Smith, and that's going to be the end of the third quarter.
Yeah, the Cardinals used a 5-man defensive line on that play because they're anticipating runs.
The end of the third quarter with the score: the Vikings 34, the Cardinals 14. This Fox NFC divisional game will continue after a word from your local Fox station. That picture tells the story about as well as the scoreboard does. 34-14, Minnesota. 2nd and 7 for the Vikings. Cunningham under pressure throws for his fullback. Incomplete.
You know, it's interesting here. We're in the fourth quarter, but Randall McDaniel's man never gets any penetration. No. You know, we just talk about how strong he is, and he just gets, you know, great position, and he has great leverage, and he's so strong that he just keeps his guy right at or around the line of scrimmage.
And that stance where he puts his left foot flat on the ground, just never seen anything quite like that.
And there's no one else that can do what he does with that stance.
That's right. Cunningham going deep, too deep. Jake Reed, the intended target. Jake stopped and looked back, and the ball went sailing over. And for the first time today, Minnesota's going to have to punt.
And I think that now Brian Billick and Denny Green want to get Jake Reed a little work because, you know, we talked about his back injury, his back surgery, as a matter of fact. And the thing they were worried about Jake Reed is he'd be a little rusty because it's been so long since he's played. So they wanted to get him into this game, get a little rust off, but not in the most important part of the game.
Metcalf. He could put him right back into it. Metcalf pushed out of bounds by Berger at about the 24. Berger just got the shove on Terry Metcalf.
Yeah, but if he didn't get the shove, then Berger wouldn't have been talked about as a player. Remember, he said, don't talk about all the candy bars and stuff because I'm a pretty good player, too. And here he gets a chance. There's no one here. He becomes the last guy, number 17 on Metcalf, and he takes an angle because you know he doesn't have that kind of speed, and that's a heck of a play by a punter. I mean, smart here by getting where Metcalf's going to go, not where he's been.
I brought Terry Metcalf back into the Eric Metcalf.
Well, you had his dad in there.
His dad in there.
The last time they were in a playoff game, his dad was playing.
That's true. Adrian Morrell gets about 5.
You know, one of the things that Mark Trestman said last night is that most of us have never been where we're about to go. And you kind of feel that was prophetic, that, you know, they're playing that way, too, that they're going into an area in a playoff game, and very few of these Cardinals have ever been in a playoff game.
Well, as they said, they were not going to be intimidated, and I think they were a little bit in the beginning.
Well, I think they were intimidated by the ease that the Minnesota Viking offense moved the ball and by the crowd.
Yeah.
But I like this offense. I mean, the Cardinals are, you know, someone asked me if this is just a fluke thing, them being here, if this is just the start of something pretty good. I think for the Cardinals, it's a start of something pretty good because of number 16.
And they're young, and they got some speed, too. Burrell tried to cut at about the 8. Robert Griffith made the stop.
Yeah, you see, there's Foch Fazio now. He's not using the wristband, He's using hand signals, and again, that's because of the no huddle. I mean, they're giving him huddle, they're giving him no huddle, they're giving him quick huddle, and he's just signaling in, and every player, the defense is not getting in the huddle. They're all looking over at Foge.
Sanders and Moore both right. Caught by Moore.
Well, how he got that ball off, as you said, he threw it to his right, but did he get a big blitz from his left, including Robert Griffin?
Flag on the play.
And it's probably hitting the quarterback, but what, did he get a heavy blitz from his left side, his back side, away from the side he was throwing to? There was a jailbreak over there.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer.
Yep.
Number 24 defense. With a forearm to the back of the head. It'll be enforced from the end
Number
of the play.
24 is
First and
Griffith
goal.
there, and that's what they called. You see that forearm to the back of the head?
Sure did.
And it was there. Tom White saw that the whole way. And now, while that was happening to Jake Plummer, where he was getting forearm to the back of the head, he still made that throw to the side away from the forearm to the back of the head.
First and goal at the 1. Flag on the play.
When we talk about the playoff games, 12 teams get into playoffs.
Snap. Ball start. Right guard on the offense. 5 yards. Still first down.
Still a first down, but they'll move it back 5 yards.
I was just saying 12 teams get into playoffs, and 11 of those teams are going to lose their last game. And that's what brings the intensity of these games up, is the finality of it. You know, you get to a point where time runs out on you, and then frustration sets in because you know the finality.
First and goal at the 6. Jake under pressure again. Intended for Gedney. Dixon Edwards on the blitz.
You know, one of the things that, you know, was so big for the Cardinals and Jake Plummer was his moving to the right or to the left in the bootlegs, and he said they really started taking that away from him by coming hard up the field like Dixon Edwards just did there, and makes him stay in the pocket. You see, you're going to see as he starts to come out here to his right, you see the minute he fakes and turns, there's Dixon Edwards. And he said before earlier, they wouldn't bring that guy hard away from play action where he could bootleg. Now they're bringing that guy hard.
You could tell that he couldn't hear what was coming from the sideline. So this is a Cardinal timeout. They only have one left. Minnesota leads 34-14.
See Divisional Playoff is brought to you by the all-new Jeep Grand Cherokee, the most capable sport utility ever. By AT&T, it's all within your reach. By Texaco, a world of energy. And by United Airlines, rising is a daily commitment to make flying more civilized. United is rising.
34-14, the Vikings. Plummer on a quick count. Looks end zone, incomplete. Intended for Moore.
You know, the Cardinals have what they call a movement package, and that's exactly what that was. And Jake Plummer was saying in the movement package, they have about 10 plays, and there's different kind of movements. You have the bootleg where the back goes one way and you fake the other way, and you have the rollout like that was where the back leads and goes the same way that you're going. But they have 10 plays in a movement package, which will always be good for Jake Plummer.
Third and goal at the 6. Jake gets his pass just at the left to break. Sanders fumble. The Vikings throw it back there. Sanders was down.
What a throw by Jake Plummer.
Yeah.
Again, that's why they call him the snake. I don't know how many guys can make that play. Brett Favre, maybe. I don't know who else. I mean, he is there, and watch this. They have him, and he's just going to flip that ball. I mean, watch him. He starts back. He almost falls down. He comes up. He throws a jump pass. As the guy's around his knees, and completes it to Frank Sanders.
And the ball hit the ground. Sanders didn't get in. It's 4th and goal at the 1. Second effort. Bates came close. Touchdown. The official on the side came storming in with his hands in the air. The ball must have broken the plane.
Yeah, it did. And in fact, if it did, that's Bates' third touchdown, isn't it? You're going to see him start here to the left, then he gets a lead back to the right, and he's just stopped there. He stopped there by Rudd. In fact, Rudd starts to celebrate and lets him go, and Mario Bates is still playing.
Yep.
Now, again, the key is, did the ball cross the plane of the goal line? So you have to see, it's not, when his knee goes down, where's the ball? You don't see his knee down yet, and you don't see the ball yet either. But the rule is,
maybe from this view,
when his knee goes down, where's the ball? Does the ball break the plane?
They kicked the extra point, so in the opinion of the officials, it did. And the Cardinals tack on another touchdown and extra point. 34-21, 11:45 left. The Metrodome, Minnesota 34, Arizona 21, 11:45 left. Certainly enough time left for Jake the Snake to work some magic.
Well, you know, and we saw him work that magic. Remember down in Arizona in that second half of the Dallas Cowboy game?
David Palmer. Championship game next week, either here or in Atlanta. Atlanta will oppose one of these two, Minnesota or the Arizona Cardinals. John, if it's here, you're going to stay all week.
Yeah, I'm going to stay all week, and I'm going to do some of those things. You know, some of those pictures we had of people doing stuff in the snow and fishing and going down to Austin and all that stuff. I'm going to do all that stuff this week. So,
which one of those things are you going to do?
Well, I'm going to do all of it. So if you're looking for me and you can't find me, that's where I am.
Pass from Cunningham to Andrew Glover is complete out to about the 30. That's right. You were, I guess this is pretty well known. You were born up here.
Yeah, I was born in Austin, Minnesota.
I guess that's why you're going there.
Yeah, and you know, Minnesota plays a big part in my life. I was from my mother, my father, born here. You know, my family, my mother's family, the whole group.
So it's Madden country.
Oh boy, did Jeff Christie make a block? We got to look at that one again.
Jeff Christie is one of the centers who can pull.
You don't see centers pulling a lot, but when you do see a center pull, then you have to watch it. And then when the center pulls and makes a block, watch Jeff Christie here, and then doink, right there he makes that block. Then you got to show that one again.
Yep.
I mean, poor old centers, all they do is, you know, bend over and snap the ball all day. But when they make a play like that, as you say, there's not a heck of a lot of them in football that can do what Jeff Christie just did.
Ronald McKinnon was Christie's victim. 1st and 10. Another clock down as far as they can. Room for Robert Smith to pick his way.
And that was right at a blitz. They tried to run a split 6 blitz, which is hitting both holes. They're going to blitz right into this area. But again, Jeff Christie, you see, he turns and he just picks up Miller right there. In fact, he gets him going away, and then he cuts him, and Robert Smith ran right at the blitzers. Or the blitzers ran right by or were cut right by Robert Smith.
Horde replaces Smith.
Now, Smith has gained 102 yards. He got his 100 in this playoff game.
Cunningham drops. Incomplete, intended for Glover.
Now, the Cardinals were in an interesting defense, Pat. They use it a lot. In fact, they used it a lot against the Cowboys last week, that 5 defensive line.
Yeah.
And we talk about Christie and the things that he does. He sees the 5 defensive line. Now watch him and listen as he makes his calls.
The center does a lot of things.
Yeah, well, he saw that 5-man line, so they had to man pass protect, so he was yelling out man.
Randy Moss makes the catch from Cunningham and gets the Vikings a 1st down across the 50. Excuse me, go ahead.
No, just saying, those are the types of things I think they have to do to Randy Moss. I think that, you know, get him on intermediate passes, get him on some inside routes, and then get him even on some crossing routes, and then he will be lethal in this league.
Moss and Carter are split left. 5-man line again.
You got the bear look in the middle.
Here's Smith. Simeon Rice tripped him up. Today's game is being produced by Bob Stinner, directed by Sandy Grossman. Associate directors Mike Roig. The broadcast associates are Fran Morrison and Charles McDonald. Rich Nelson's our stage manager. Technical producer is Bob Mueller. Technical director Joe Abenda. And we'll get to the rest in just a moment. 2nd and 7. Blitz coming.
Ooh, and that was a perfect call because they ran Leroy Horde right into the blitz. It was either a bad offensive call by the Vikings or a great defensive call by the Cardinals because they blitzed right into the hole where the Vikings were running.
Third and 8. Big down for the Cardinals right here.
That was Dave McGinnis, who's the defensive coordinator of this Cardinal team, who a lot of people are talking about as maybe someday being a head coach.
Yes. One of many assistants being mentioned. They leaned. I don't know if they went off sides or not. Yes, they did. Cunningham keeps the ball, and he's going to run it. He's a little short of the first down. Andre Wadsworth made the tackle, but the flag as the Cardinals jump.
Randall Cunningham was saying the other day that if they use a lot of man coverage or blitz, he says, I'm going to have to run because zone, you're watching the quarterback, so it's not a good time for the quarterback to run. Man to man, because you're covering a man, most of the time you will turn your back to the quarterback, so that's the best time for him to run. Randall was saying it looks like these guys are going to play us in a lot of man, so I'm going to be ready to do a lot of running, and he's just done just enough today to keep them effective.
Offsides. Defense. Number 97. It's a 5-yard penalty. We'll replay 3rd down.
Just continuing with those who are responsible for what you see and what you hear. Technical producers Bob Mueller. Technical director Joe Abenda. The audio supervisors Fred Aldis. Studio is produced by Scott Ackerson, directed by Bob Levy. Cardinals again showing a blitz. Cunningham retreats, gets the ball to Moss.
What a play.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fun. That's like you do it in the playground. I mean, Randall Cunningham is sprinting out, he's scrambling, and he just throws the ball. Randy Moss just grabs it out of the air.
And grab is a perfect term to describe it. Snatch it out of the air.
Watch, it just starts out here, and that's a sprint out. Randall Cunningham throws the ball on the run. Now watch on this end. Watch what Randy Moss does. I mean, he just reaches out both hands and grabs that ball out of there because, you know, this guy, I mean, he is so big and he's so fast. He runs a 40 in 4.2, and he's also a lot stronger than you think he is.
And he's taller than you think he is. And I think he's tall to begin with.
Yeah, he's like 6'5".
Yeah.
I mean, when he gets up, you have to look up to him and say, hello, Mr. Moss.
I didn't hear you say that.
No, I didn't.
34-21 Minnesota. 1st and 10 Minnesota. With a clock about to be starting again. The handoff is to Robert Smith.
You know, David Dixon, the right guard of the Vikings, is so big and strong. I mean, he's over 350 pounds. That when he gets his body on you, I mean, look at those arms and shoulders. I mean, he just got his body on some guy and just put him right on his back. I mean, and that's the side that they run to. And we talk about this offensive line, how they've been doing so well the whole game, but now they're just dominating. I mean, they're hitting guys, and the next thing that hits is the back of their heads.
And the helmet doesn't look like it's quite adequate.
Either has too much head or not enough helmet.
Here's Smith again. Cut down by Carl Simpson.
And again, that was Randall McDaniel making that hole. You know, when Randall McDaniel was a senior at Arizona State, and they won the Rose Bowl, and he was the MVP, and he was All-American, he was all this, and they had a rally after, and they got him up there to give a speech. You know, and they thought that he was going to say, what was your proudest accomplishment? And he said, you know, that would be about football or blocking or something. He said, the proudest accomplishment that I've had in my life is from kindergarten through high school, I never missed a day of school.
That's something to be proud of. Here's Horde making yardage out of what looked to be a loss and keeping the clock running.
They got a rumble going on down there.
As if there might have been a fumble.
Remember there was a rumble with an umpire and a player? This is the same umpire. Remember that where he just grabbed the guy and just bulldogged him to the ground? Old number 5 Sky. I remember seeing that at a highlight film. Dave McGinnis is saying, what in the heck can we do to stop this offensive machine of these Vikings?
They have tried everything, and so have a lot of people. And nobody has, except Tampa Bay, and they kept the ball all the time. That's hard.
And you wonder what the Atlanta Falcons are thinking.
Leroy Horde into the end zone again.
If you need one, I'll get you 3. Leroy Horde did.
9-year veteran from Michigan.
What a combination of Robert Smith, the speed and the slasher and the power of Leroy Horde. When we talk about guys that have had big games every time we've seen them, Leroy Horde is one of those guys.
He certainly is, isn't he?
I like him.
Anderson has another extra point that's perfect. And the Vikings tack on to their lead 41-21. Minnesota 41, Arizona 21. Just over 4.5 minutes left for the Vikings to host the championship game against Atlanta. Next Sunday early, and we'll be here. Berger. Metcalf can't get the bounce and downs it in the end zone. Next Sunday, our coverage begins at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, 8:30 a.m. Pacific Time. Atlanta against these Vikings. All the home teams won this weekend. And, well, this one's not over yet. But it certainly looks as if those people will capture this title,
well, you
or
know why
the right to try to capture the title in the NFC.
The reason the home teams win is because the home teams deserve to be home teams by having the best winning record. In the regular season, they were the better teams.
And they've got the crowd on their side, and that has become, it seems to me, over the years, a bigger factor as the fans have become more educated.
Yeah, and you just look at this crowd. I was just thinking of that, you know, while we were away there in this crowd, and they were singing and making music and dancing, and this place, to me, was kind of dull over the years, but this has become a very festive place now.
Next weekend, the 1998 postseason fact, the 4 teams in the next week's conference championship have a combined 59-9 record. Minnesota with the best, Atlanta with the second best. They'll be here. Denver tied with Atlanta with a 15-2 record, and the Jets 13-4.
And that's the way it should be. Oh, good hit.
Larry Centers.
And this is good hitting weather. You can hear it out. You can hear it from up here.
Antonio Banks
But, you know, Pat, you were looking at those records and talking about those teams, and there's a certain purity about that. And that's what makes regular season games so big and so important, that if you win your regular season games, then you're going to be more successful in the playoffs. And you hate to see teams that didn't, that would get in and, you know, and win things.
Plummer gets it outside the Centers again, who gets first down. You wonder how Larry Centers, who's been such a good player, solid player for so many years for the Cardinals, finally they get to the playoffs. They beat Dallas last week, the first time they're in the playoffs. And now they're going to be eliminated. And it's got to be just heartbreaking. But as you said, the Cardinals look like a team that are just coming on.
Yeah, they're a team on the rise. And the reason is, to me, is, as you said, they have some speed. They have some, you know, young players. They have a good coach and a good staff with Vince Tobin. But to me, the guy is Jake Plummer. I mean, he's the real deal. And Jake Plummer is going to be a superstar in this league. And you talk about the great quarterbacks and so on. He is going to be, or has a heck of a chance to be, one of the next ones.
Has such a, as you said earlier, such a great feel for things.
He knows how to play the game.
Yeah.
And the thing I like about him, he has fun playing it, too.
Down the middle, Plummer to Sanders. There's another guy who seems to enjoy playing, too, Frank Sanders.
Yeah, he's a good guy, isn't he? Yeah. And you know, and you talk about, you know, guys that, you know, have big games whenever you see them. Frank Sanders is one of those guys. There's Aeneas Williams there in the left, and a tough job covering Randy Moss, but he did a good job. Randy Moss's touchdown, Aeneas Williams wasn't on him.
Moore takes the pass from Plummer. We're about to get the 2-minute warning until he got out of bounds.
You know, you wonder what Atlanta is thinking, and they're probably on one hand saying, well, what an offensive machine. I have no idea what we're going to do against that offense. But defensively, they're saying, hey, you know, you can do some things to this team defensively. And, yeah, I mean, their defense with your offense.
We were talking about the home field and the home team advantage, and the home field, the home team winning every game this weekend. The last 10 years in the championship game, that's next week's game, the home team is only 6-4. Here's Plummer. Going to go deep and watch it sail out of the bounds. This is a guy that the Vikings, you'd wonder how, as well as Randall Cunningham has played, they'd feel the need to sign another quarterback. It's Brad Johnson, who was the starter when they signed.
And he'll be. They already have him signed. I mean, they're going to keep Brad Johnson. You know, people say that, you know, Randall Cunningham had such a great year, but that doesn't mean you get rid of Brad Johnson.
Right.
And as Denny Green said, that's a luxury. And when you get a guy like Randall Cunningham and you have a guy like Brad Johnson, you do everything in your power to keep both of them, and there's no need to get rid of one of them. And I don't think there's any way the Vikings will.
Plummer to Morrell. Well, Denny Green also said, there's no question in anybody's mind connected with the team, we wouldn't be 15-1 if we didn't have both of them. 2 minutes left at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. The Vikings up by 20 points. Minutes left at the Metrodome in Minnesota, 41-21. Methodical performance by the Vikings, who...
You know what that drawing was, Pat, that we just saw there? That was an onside kick prevent. In other words, if Arizona scores here, Minnesota's going to use an onside kick prevent.
That one could have been intercepted.
Well, that's one thing about coaching. You know, you're never coaching for the moment. You're always coaching ahead. You know, play callers are thinking of the next play. Special teams coaches are thinking, you know, if they score, then we have to be an onside prevent. And you always have to be ahead. You can't coach for the now, because if you're coaching for the now, it's too late.
If you're coaching for the now, you're going to lose a lot. Plummer out of the shotgun. 4th down. Rushes on. He gets away for 2. Finally throws it out to the side. Incomplete. And the Vikings will take over. The Cardinals can only stop the clock once. And 1 timeout remaining.
And the happiest guy down there in the side, well, there's a lot of happy guys down in that Viking sideline, but the guy that was out in the field was the defensive line coach, Andre Patterson. He was out there saying, we got him, we got him. You know, 4th down, he wanted the big pass rush. He went out and got it. I'll tell you, this is a great feeling, but you know, you don't want to get too excited about yourself on this, because you know that you can enjoy it tonight, you can enjoy it maybe a little, but doggone, next week those Atlanta Falcons are coming in, and there's only 1 game after this between you and the Super Bowl.
1st and 10, Minnesota. Robert Smith adds to his total.
I'll tell you one thing Denny Green's going to do. He's going to keep those guys in there. I mean, he's keeping Randall Cunningham in there, and he has Robert Smith running the ball. He'll bring in Horde now because it's shorter yardage, but there's no way when you get this close and you're this close to a championship game, you're not going to do anything stupid that's ever going to let it get out of your hands. I think, you know, the time and the score, there's no way it can, but as you're a coach, that old saying, it's never over until it's over, you don't care. You know, someone say, hey, it's over, there's no way. Baloney, it's over. When they shoot that gun off, then it's over.
Here's Horde. And he plows for enough for another 1st down, and that should just about do it.
Horde had some moves on that. He had a little swerve on there.
Shaking a few things.
Yeah, usually he just, boom, he just takes it up there and pounds it in there.
Coming up, the Burger King postgame report. J.B. Terry, Howie and Chris, Chuck Smith, the defensive end from Atlanta, Rod Smith, the wide receiver from the Denver Broncos. Interviews with those two. Fox Sports ticker will bring you up to date on stats. And now all Randall Cunningham has to do is take a knee.
They ought to get Robert Smith on from this game. Have all the Smiths.
Yeah. Denny Green, what a job he's done. Bring on the Dirty Birds. Hey, we ought to go on stage.
Yep, and it's going to be right. It's going to be the NFL on Fox, and we'll be here next week, and can't wait for that one.
We're coming back here with interviews from some of the players, some of the participants, Pam Oliver and Ron Pitts down on the field to catch him. Vikings by 20. At the Metrodome, Minnesota 41, Arizona 21. Pam Oliver visited with head coach Denny Green. Let's go down now.
All right, thanks a lot. The Vikings did, it's always very businesslike, and I'm sure you just see this as another step in the progression. Tell me, though, it's got to mean something. It's got to be pretty exciting.
Well, it is. I mean, our guys are real sharp. I mean, that's really the key thing. We said that all along. We took good advantage of the time off. We came back. We played very well on this surface, and I think the challenge next week will to continue what we've been doing, but the guys played hard all out.
You look at the scoreboard, a bit of a lopsided victory for you. Are you satisfied, though, with the team's play overall?
Oh, I thought we played. Yeah, we're always satisfied when we win. We really are. We know this. I mean, the game is not a perfect game, but anytime we win, we're satisfied. But we know that we have a lot more to do, and so that's really what it's all about. We'll go back, and we'll have a regular week next week. We know how to have a countdown. We'll try to finish it right here.
Let's look ahead to next week, the Atlanta Falcons. What kind of challenges do they present?
Well, great running game. I think anytime you can run in the National Football League, you probably win. We ran the day we won, so I think that's going to be the challenge for us. Keeping everybody on their feet, trying to shut it down, getting everybody into it, just playing another great game. And we have not played our best game yet. We have to play better next week. This will probably be the best team we've played all year.
All right, thanks a lot, Dennis. Appreciate it.
This play of the game brought to you by Burger King. And Leroy Horde, who scored 3. This is his second coming up from Randall Cunningham. He and the Vikings had a big day. So for John Madden, Pat Summerall saying stick with us. We're going to James Brown in the studio.
Next, except on the West Coast, Homer Simpson gets hitched in Vegas on an all-new Simpsons. Then, from the mind and mouth of Eddie, the Super Bowl. And Terry, again, we talked about that theme. Too many weapons, too many ways to use those weapons for the Minnesota Vikings.
You know, it's kind of unusual, too, because we're going to have two teams, Atlanta and Minnesota, who did not play one another during the regular season. We're so used to seeing the 49ers and the Cowboys. And then we have the Jets going to Denver. They didn't play one another this year. But today I thought David Palmer was a surprise weapon out of the backfield, shotgun, running, throwing, catching. They used everyone. Smith, Moss made the big catches, Carter, Glover, on and on and on. And Cunningham, all of the guys that played well during the regular season played well today.
And all the preliminaries now over. The 4 best teams alive in the National Football League, and it's going to be a tremendous run next weekend. You have the Minnesota Vikings. The one team able to beat them was Tampa Bay because of the running game. Jamal Anderson now comes into town. They'll get tested there. On the other side, you have Bill Belichick going against Mike Shanahan, for my money, the best offensive mind against the best defensive mind. It's going to be tremendous next weekend.
And if you're going to advance, and you're the New York Jets, and you're going to advance, and you're the Minnesota Vikings, you better put on your big boy pads, buckle up your chin strap, and play the run. Terrell Davis and this guy Jamal Anderson, who is on a roll both emotionally and physically, feels he is unstoppable. Anyone watch that game yesterday? This guy takes 5 guys to bring him down.
Let me just circle this guy right here. His name is Robert Smith, and he had 124 yards rushing today. That wasn't too bad either.
Who didn't have a good day?
The leader of the pack continues to be Randall Cunningham as he guides the Minnesota Vikings to victory by the score of 41-21 over the Arizona Cardinals. Randall, and he is at peace with himself.
Absolutely. Play action, hold the linebacker, steps up and uses that strong arm down the left sideline. Who's right there but Randy Moss on Aeneas Williams' 45-yard catch. That led to an Andrew Glover 15-yard touchdown, 14-0 Vikings. Out of the backfield, rolling right. Leroy Hoyt out in the flat, stretching, diving, breaks the cone. There it is right there. Touchdown. You got it. 24-7. Cunningham celebrating. Yes, thank you, God. And then, finally, the flea flicker. You got to do it all, JB. You got to do it all in these games. Hand it up, throw it back, safeties bite, down the sideline, Chris Carter, 44-yarder. Gary Anderson gets a 20-yard field goal. It's 27-14 Vikings. And then Jake the Snake Plummer, he fumbles this football. There's a scramble. Antonio Banks recovers for the Vikings. Plummer also with 2 interceptions, but too much Vikings as you see Cunningham out of the backfield, firing to the back. There he is, Moss, touchdown, Vikings, impressive. You'd never known they had 2 weeks off, 41-21 your final. That sets up the showdown for the championship game, Vikings hosting the Atlanta Falcons.
So Denny Green continues in the process of removing the stigma of poor postseason record as his team wins it 41-21. Randall Cunningham, 17 of 27, 236 yards, 3 touchdowns. Yes, he did throw a pick, but sensational. Right now, a lot of interviews with both squads. Let's take it back out to Pat Summerall.
Again, it was frigid outside, but not inside, as the Vikings got hot and beat the Cardinals 41-21. And after the game was over, our Pam Oliver had a chance to talk with Randall Cunningham and Chris Carter. Let's go down to Pam now.
Thanks a lot. Here with Randall Cunningham, Chris Carter. Chris, I'm going to start with Randall. You know, he is the quarterback. Randall, tell me, how does it feel to be headed to the NFC Championship game?
I'm getting very sentimental over here. I'm trying to hold these tears back. God is so good. Yeah. God is so good. I'm just thankful. It's all God, and we just praise him. It's great. It's great.
I just talked to Dennis. He said you guys have not played your best football yet. You look at the scoreboard, that's kind of scary.
Yeah, you know, we made some mistakes today, but we know that we're pushing, and the guys up front are doing an excellent job, and God's continuing to bless us, and we just want to lift up his name and praise him for everything we're doing. We hope the people that know about the gospel can receive what we're talking about.
Thanks a lot, Randall. Chris, I've talked to you many years, and it's usually like first-round playoffs, you're out. This is a whole different story and a whole different team.
Oh, yeah, we believe it's our destiny this year. I mean, God has watched over us the whole way. I mean, we're ready. We're ready to step up to the challenge. It's nice next week. I mean, you got the 2 best teams through the regular season playing an NFC championship, and that's what it's supposed to be about, and we're looking forward to it. I mean, glory be to God for the opportunity.
Let's talk about the Atlanta Falcons, their secondary. What comes to mind there?
Very good secondary, very smart, disguise their coverages very well, play the ball very well, not like a lot of DBs who sit back and let the receivers make the play. You know, it's going to be an outstanding challenge. Our receivers going against their defensive backs. I know they're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to it. It should be a tremendous matchup.
All right, Chris, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
All right, Pam, thank you very much. The mood a little different on the other side of the field. Ron Pitts is with Aeneas Williams, and he had a chance to speak with him.
All right, thank you very much, Aeneas. A tough year. I mean, you guys fought back. You got here. You got to be proud of yourself and proud of this team.
I tell you what, man, all we could do is give God all the glory. This team fought, and we ran into a wall today, a good Minnesota team. Yeah. And this team is going to I think it's going to be a great game between them and Atlanta. And I just praise God that we got out here, kept fighting, and I think this will take us in good momentum into next year.
They got a couple on you, but you got a couple too. You had an interception. Now that you've seen this team and all the talk about the firepower, how would you defend them?
I tell anybody, the national TV audience, it's like when Mike Tyson was at his peak. He got in the ring, he intimidated a lot of people before he got in there. But when he took a shot and an opponent stayed with him like Evander Holyfield did, you got to take your shots against this team. They're going to take some shots, but you got to keep on swinging.
You got to expect a lot for next year.
Yes, sir. We're excited, and I just want to say hello to all the people down in New Orleans and the people and the fans of Phoenix. Praise God.
All right, thank you very much. It's good next year. All right, back up to you guys.
All right, Ron, thank you very much. And John Madden, your final thoughts about this game and this team.
Well, I think that, the Minnesota Vikings, everything has been great about them this year, and we're going to have a dome team in a Super Bowl. And I think what Chris Carter was talking about was so true, that there's something great when you play a championship game and you have the two teams that had the best records during the regular season. I mean, these are the two teams that should be there. And it's going to give us a fresh NFC team, too, because the last time the Vikings were in the Super Bowl was 1976. The Atlanta Falcons have never been in a Super Bowl.
It'll be great next week, and it'll be great in 3 weeks at the Super Bowl. Back to you, JB.
All right, Pat, thank you very much. Next week, indeed, it will be good. And coattailing on the pugilistic reference by Aeneas Williams, this Minnesota team, yes, indeed, they've got weapons in that arsenal. Right cross, uppercut, jab, and the knockout power, indeed. We'll be there next week at the Metrodome hosting that game between Minnesota and the Atlanta Falcons. My guys are on me right now. Hey, folks, we're going to take you to the top of the hour. The other pugilists, they'll be back with us talking about a preview of both championship games, the AFC Championship and the NFC Championship. And up next, live, we'll have conversations with participants, pugilists, if you will, in that one. Rod Smith of the Denver Broncos. He'll talk about his squad as they get set to host the Jets. And Chuck Smith, Howie Long's guy, a defensive end who prides himself in playing against the run and the pass. Back with more after this. Cannot contain. He only had one catch the first half. Randy Moss, touchdown catch there. 4 catches on the day for 73 yards and a touch. Vikings win it 41-21 over Arizona. Will host the NFC Championship game next week, folks. We will be there in Minneapolis, Atlanta, and Minnesota. Coverage begins at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time right here on Fox. The shootout at the Metrodome as we welcome you back to the Burger King postgame show here in Los Angeles with the full house. Chris Collinsworth, Howie Long, Terry Bradshaw, and yours truly, James Brown. Well, the Final Four is all set, folks. Right now, let's check it out. In the NFC Championship game, the Falcons fly north to fight the Vikings. Check this out. This is Atlanta's first championship game ever. However, Atlanta's leading man is no stranger to big games, and Dan is the man in championships, going 3-1 as a head coach. But playing Purple Pride in the Thunderdome is always stormy. The explosive Vikings haven't lost in Minnesota since 1997. Nevertheless, the Vikings are notorious for losing the big one, going 0-4 in the Super Bowl and losing their last 2 conference championship games. And check this out. Here's a stat you'll never hear again. No dome team has ever played in a Super Bowl. Over in the AFC, the Jets fly to Mile High to ground the Broncos. Big John hopes this is deja vu all over again as, check this out, Denver is 5-1 in AFC championships. And speaking of deja vu, all the Broncos do in Denver is win. Nevertheless, Gang Green has got a gang of weapons in Gotham. The Jets' air attack is tops in the AFC, and when it comes to the playoffs, Tuna can top anyone. It's orange versus green in a game of 2 talented teams. All right, so that's the setup for next week with the Final Four all set. And, folks, pleased to welcome to the set now Mr. Chuck Smith, defensive end with the Atlanta Falcons. And here's a guy that Howie Long characterized as an angry football player who knows how to do it. And, Chuck, let me ask you, in your wildest dreams, did you think that this team preseason at this point would be 15-2?
Well, you never imagine things like this happening, especially just coming off of, last couple of years. A few years ago, we were 0-8, or, last year we started out 0-6. But I knew we had the ingredients, what it takes to win. We were physical, we had great coaching, we ran the ball, and we stopped the run. And most of the teams I've seen do that over the years have been successful.
Hey, Chuck, it's Howie Long. Congratulations.
Hey,
one of the constants for your defensive line, and a line that prides itself on, as you mentioned, both playing the run and the pass, and a couple of guys arguably got snubbed for the Pro Bowl. You see this Minnesota Viking offensive line, it's a formidable task at hand. How do you evaluate that group up there in Minnesota, and how do you think you'll fare against that group?
Well, I watched Minnesota. We played them last year, and I've watched them, because they had a lot of TV time this year. So I'm pretty familiar with Todd and, Corey and all the guys they have on their line, and Randall. They're a good offensive line. They take advantage of everything that people give them. But, we feel that we got a defensive line that can get after anybody. We work hard. We want to outwork people. We want to hit them. We want to be physical. We want to chase. We want to do everything it takes that people don't like to do. And it's going to be a battle. We're not going to take a backseat to them and sit there in awe of them. We're coming full focus to win the game, and the game's won on the front lines, and that's how, when we win the game, that's where we'll win it.
Chuck, I got to go back to yesterday. They took away your touchdown, man. I can't believe it. You made the beautiful play, go down there and score. It looked like it was going to be 21-0 Falcons at that point. They take it away. All of a sudden, the game completely turns around, ends up 14-10 going in at halftime. My question is, what did Dan Reeves say to you guys at halftime to get you back together?
Dan's a great coach. When we went there at halftime, anything that happened, a lot of things that happened yesterday were things that we miscommunicated on, and basically we felt like we gave it to him. So Dan didn't dwell on what happened. We knew we had the lead, and if they didn't score again, that we were going to win the game. And we knew with the defense we have, any minute we can get a fumble and take it all away, and we knew we were going to be sound. They weren't going to run on us. And, you have to give those guys a lot of credit. It was a war out there. But Dan came in and told the team, be savvy, understand how we got here. We didn't get here by panicking. We got here by playing sound football, understanding what happened before the half, and went out there, controlled the rest of the game, and the rest is history.
Terry Bradshaw, you talked about sound defense. You're going to be going up next week against a quarterback, Randall Cunningham, who in years past, everyone knows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not there, boom, away he goes. Really puts a lot of pressure on our defensive front because he scrambles and moves around so much, unlike this year where he has stayed in the pocket. If you could just describe a little bit, tell us the problems he could possibly cause for you and how frustrating a quarterback like Randall Cunningham is to a defensive player.
Well, a quarterback like Randall, Cordell, Steve Young, they're a whole nother kind of weapon. And you have to have disciplined lane assignments. You have to understand where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there. You can't freelance. We're not a team that's going to freelance and just try to create whatever we can do. We have a scheme that Coach Brooks and Coach Kolar put in there. We know what we have to do. And people got to understand we play Steve Young twice a year, so we're familiar with scrambling quarterbacks.
Hey, Chuck, very quickly, let me ask you a question. Dan Reeves and next year, has he indicated to you guys in any way that he may not be back next year at all?
No. Right now, we haven't talked about anything like that. That's a decision that Dan will have to make. But as far as we're concerned, that's nothing that we've discussed. It wouldn't be right for me to talk about it right now because I have no knowledge of it. This is the first thing I've heard of it. But, we're totally expecting Dan to be back next year. And, we're just ready to come up to Minnesota and with Dan with us.
Well, we know that he will be with you next week, indeed. And, Chuck, we look forward to seeing you next week in Minneapolis as well. Thank you so very much.
Good luck, Chuck.
Good luck, Chuck.
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks,
Chuck
guys.
Smith of the Atlanta Falcons. Folks, coming up, we will take a look at the AFC title game. Denver and New York Jets. We'll talk live with Rod Smith. He led the team in receptions. He is their big, deep threat. We'll chat with him next. Minnesota has. Take a look at Glover here on the receiving end of that bullet from Randall Cunningham. Weapons that will be on display next week in the NFC Championship game as Minnesota wins it 41-21. They will host the Atlanta Falcons. Coverage starts at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time next week right here on Fox. We will be there at the game site with Pat and John as we welcome you back inside of Studio 2A for the Burger King post-game show. Full house indeed. Folks, in the AFC, it was the New York Jets, the team that Terry says is playing the best right now on the AFC side of the house, upending the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's embellish this with a little highlights. Keyshawn Johnson says, give me the ball. He got the ball today.
Play action right off the bat, Vinny. No pressure at all. Down the middle, no safeties. Corner gets beat. Keyshawn Johnson, touchdown pass number 1. It's 7-0. That one covered 21 yards. Now reverse. Keyshawn Johnson again, 10-yard touchdown, 17-0. And then Mark Brunell, Jimmy Smith, touchdown of 19 yards, narrow the score 31-21. And then the Hail Mary pass, and why not? Why not put Keyshawn Johnson back there? And, of course, it's he who makes the interception. Jacksonville 24, Jets 34. Jets travel to Denver to take on the mighty Denver Broncos.
And that, of course, will be, as Terry said, at Mile High next week. The battle for the AFC title as we welcome you back inside. And welcoming now to the viewers will be Rod Smith, the wide receiver for the Denver Broncos, led the team in receptions. As I mentioned, the big deep threat. And Rod, while I'll let you get on Terry for saying he thinks that the Jets are the best team on the AFC side of the house, let me ask you about the only receiving touchdown yesterday, the one that you caught. Walk us through that from yesterday.
It was just a chance to, to try to make a play, and it was a straight go route called by the coaching staff, and John just gave me a chance. And I knew the guy was, he was stride for stride with me, and he can't see the ball, so just stopped on him and just made a play. John gave me an opportunity and trying to give our team a lift.
Rod, do you think that Coach Shanahan held this offense back a little bit the last 2 or 3 weeks of the season, realizing he had it all sewed up, home field advantage wrapped up? Do you feel that you guys pulled in a little bit on your weapons and now are starting to showcase them in the playoffs?
Well, I know the last time we played Miami that the game plan was nothing like it was this time. There was a lot more there as far as the players. It was a lot of basic stuff for us, so we just go out there and use athletic ability and make plays. And they put a great game plan together. That was the big point for us, was the great game plan, because we just got to go out there and have fun.
Rod, did you ever lose any confidence in yourself or Ed McCaffrey? During those 2 losses to the Dolphins and the Giants, people were beginning to say, oh, those guys can't get deep, they can't beat people down the field. And yet in this last game, really the last couple of weeks, you guys proved all your critics wrong.
Oh, yeah, you kind of take it personal when people doubt your game and doubt your abilities. And me and Eddie, as a group, we just try to go out and work hard and do the things that other receivers aren't willing to do, like blocking downfield or whatever it takes to get the job done. And I feel we've done an adequate job, and we just got to step it up another level, in the playoffs.
Rod, you had a great year this year as a team, obviously, 14-2. You rattle off 13 straight wins. There's talk of a team of the ages. The distractions of the streak were in place. You lose 2 games, and suddenly the sky is falling. You finish up versus Seattle, and you dismantle Miami yesterday. Was there ever a doubt in the locker room as a team that maybe you peaked too early? Was this team for real, or was it a fluke?
No, it was never a doubt. The thing was that I really think John, 3 weeks ago, we had a little meeting offensively. He said, we quit having fun. We took it more as a job instead of the game that it is. And he said, hey, we got to go out, starting in practice that week, of having fun. And, guys went out there and they were back to cracking jokes. And he said, because when we have fun and we're out there laughing, whether we're up or down, guys are making plays. You're just letting it happen and keeping a smile on your face. And we took that attitude and that approach, and you can see we had a lot of fun yesterday.
Rod, as we get set to say goodbye, leading the charge of the critics who thought you guys had really gone down that slippery slope that is toward the bottom was Terry Bradshaw. You got to say something to him.
I know, man. He gave me a Terry Award, too. And then
That's right. Hey, Rod, don't listen to these guys, man. They're trying to
I don't get a trophy or something for the Terry Award?
No, actually, the trophy is on the
autographed
way.
jersey or anything.
When you make the tough guy team next year, I'll send you a nice trophy and a sweatsuit.
It's a bulldog.
I know, man. I heard you give out good stuff, man.
Hey, Rod, what we will do, we'll send you the leather helmet that he wore when he played. Hey, buddy, thank you so very much for your time, Rod.
That's a cold shot.
It absolutely was a cold shot indeed. All right, folks, don't forget, coming up at the top of the hour, it'll be primetime Fox lineup next, except on the West Coast. Homer Simpson gets hitched in Vegas on an all-new Simpsons, followed by the mind and mouth of Eddie Murphy, a groundbreaking new series. Catch the world premiere of the PJs, followed by an all-new X-Files, and it all starts at 7 Central next, except on the West Coast. Terry Bradshaw will have more to respond when we come back. This is your captain speaking. Shootout at the Metrodome next week here on Fox. It'll be coming your way on Sunday. Coverage begins at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. It'll be the Atlanta Falcons traveling to Minneapolis to take on the Minnesota Vikings. As we welcome you back inside for the Burger King postgame show. Chris, Howie, Terry, yours truly, James Brown. And again, just to pass along information that you may not have heard, Washington Redskins have been sold. New York City bankers Howard and Edward Milstein and Bethesda businessman Daniel M. Snyder purchased a team richest price ever paid for an NFL franchise, in excess of $700 million. It does include the Jack Kent Cooke Stadium as well, and it must be approved, that is, by the NFL league owners. And Andy Reid, as mentioned before, will be named the coach of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Can you imagine that kind of money for a football team that didn't even make the playoffs?
You and Howie can definitely afford that.
How much do you have to pay to get approved?
Chris and I just want a concession stand in the stadium.
Really?
Good
point.
Go ahead, Chris.
They're telling me wrap it up. Vinny Testaverde, Randall Cunningham, the comeback story continues for both those guys.
Oh, why didn't you say that to Rod Smith when we had him on the deal about Chris over here?
Hey, all he wants is a Terry Award. That's all. He wants a trophy or something from Terry.
He's got a Mercedes-Benz on its way.
Courtesy of Terry Bradshaw.
As soon as I get my deal.
We will see you next week in Minneapolis. NFC Championship game. Atlanta at Minneapolis.
Cheap shot.
Randall Cunningham and all of his weapons on display. We'll see you next week.